Hello, my Teaserking family. How was everybody today? Again, I'm on the wrong side. This should be on this side over here. I don't know. I shut my computer off, turned it back on. Thought I'd get some sort of reset. But no. Anyway, excuse me while I eat a little. So since I already went to the gold store yesterday, I didn't go there today. Listening to Mark McGuire's guest, I don't know where they found this idiot from. So don't waste your time with Mark. Today, it's not worth it. What's going on with my computer? So let's see. So let's talk Super Bowl first. All right. All right, then we will go to Mark McGuire. So the line is moving. 49ers 2.5, 47.5. Interesting. Let's see if we got other lines. That's funny. Everything else is 2 except for FanDuel is 2.5. So we're going to keep it at 2. And the total 47.5. So 247.5 really didn't move. We'll get into injuries really next week because injuries a week away are pointless. We assume everybody will play, and that'll be it. So let's see. So talked to Daria today. She was having hands problems, and they figured out it was a neck. So I assume she's got a pinched nerve. I don't know. So she said she's got pills and injections, so she's now home sleeping. But it's pretty late there anyway. It's 11 o'clock. That's the biggest thing you got to get used to is the time change. It's 11 o'clock for her, 3 o'clock for us. Anyway, so Super Bowl analysis. The best way, okay, how do we pick this game? And we can go with, okay, let's look at the team. God, this is pissing me off. We can look at the team and then you try to solve the puzzle. Do we want KC? Do we want San Francisco? And I was watching some YouTube on last week's game against Detroit with a different look. This guy was showing the coverages. It was unique. So he's showing the coverages and he's showing what Brock Purdy did and what the Lions did. And He did it like I did. He said they were 3 turnovers. Both the fourth downs are turnovers. And this is where the coach is clueless. Let's go for it, but if we don't make it, no consequence. Oh, really? No consequence? And then you lost the game. So as I say, like in poker, if I bluff and lose, was it a good play? Well, he called the bluff and I lost. No, anytime you lose, it's not a good play. If I called a hand and I got 2 pair and I lose, was it a good call? No. Well, I was being aggressive. Yeah, but I lost $500. So being aggressive isn't the answer. It's not being aggressive. It's being smart. It's, did you win? You lost. You had a 24-7 lead and you lost. You didn't even lose. You were down 34-24. So again, you scored 24 points in the first half. You don't score till like there's a minute left in the game because they let you score because they were up by 10. So, I mean, it's not even an argument. You're a terrible coach. You miss the concept of winning. The analytics excuse is ridiculous. Especially when when you are in field goal range to tie the game up and you don't, there's no excuse. You cannot use analytics as your excuse. It doesn't hold water. So I was watching some of that on the analytics. Now, we both know KC and Frisco does not go for it on 4th down, especially against both of the teams. So if we look at the defenses, they're even. They both are approximately 19, 20 points a game defense. The Lions got they got 31, but really they got 24 because they gave them that one with a minute left in the game. And then they did the onside kick. So really it was 24. I don't see the Niners scoring that much. I don't see the Chiefs scoring that much. This would be a little bit more choking, a little bit more pressure, a little bit more defense. Like here, the defense, when you play the Lions, it's one thing. When you play Mahomes, you know you're playing Mahomes. It's not a surprise. So when you play Mahomes, you'll be jacked up because you know you can't. When you play golf in the Lions, you probably didn't take them seriously, although they did in the second half. This is Alyssa. Oh. This is about the interview yesterday. I won't have an update until early next week. I'm the Skyway analyst role. As soon as I hear something, I'll be in touch. I'm just responding. So I said, thank you. I look forward to getting some good news. Enjoy your weekend. So that's nice. She's communicating with me, and she communicated with them. They don't have any feedback till next week, which you'd have thought the guy would have had feedback after the interview. I liked him. I didn't like him. He's an idiot. He's a professor. I don't know. So I did ask him, do you understand why gold's still at 2,000 an ounce? He said, no. My contact there did say you were his favorite interview so far. He's had 3 and has one more Monday morning, so that's positive. Okay, so it's Professor, and then there's Larry, Moe, and Curly, and he's got one more Monday morning. So I don't know what he's waiting for 2 weeks. Because you never know. Because I brought up Daria, I brought up gold, I brought up. He asked me, what do I do? And I said, well, I teach economics, and I golf, and I play poker. And you never know what's taboo or not in an interview. But he did say, what do you do in your free time? So I'm honest. So maybe he's just looking for honesty. You never know what they're really looking for. There was some movie where the guy, well, I think it was The Big Short or something. And the guy said, well, I got one eye, and I'm this, and I'm that, and I'm that. And she says, you're just my type, honest. And I think we're all looking for honesty. And I think by me saying I play poker and I handicap and I do an economics show on YouTube and I'm dating a Russian girl, he knew that was honest. And I think that's probably what he's looking for more so than what I do. But so far, I'm his favorite, which makes sense because, again, I'm a senior analyst taking a $15,000, $20,000 pay cut. Well, let's say $15,000 pay cut. But the contract role paid more, but here there's benefits. So I'm really pretty close to where I was, but if I take the benefits. Like I won't take the 401k because I want to buy gold. So we'll see. Anyway, back to football. So how do we pick the Super Bowl? And we break down the offense, the defense, and the coaches. Shanahan's number one in Super Bowl because he keeps choking. He was the coach at Atlanta. He was the offensive coordinator who had his head up his ass and let New England come back. You hit the big pass to Julio Jones, and then it should have just, even if he took 3 knees and then kicked the field goal or kicked the field goal on first down, he takes a holding penalty, 2 incompletions, and out of field goal range. Terrible play calling. So Andy Reid's a choke, but he's starting to win some Super Bowls, so let's give him credit for that. Quarterback, Mahomes against Purdy. Mahomes here, Purdy's here. Edge to Mahomes. Offense, they're both balanced. KC's got Pacheco, and then they got Kelsey, and then they got now this Rice. Frisco's got McCafferty and Deebo Samuel and Ayuk and Kittle. So they both have the balanced running, passing. Now, Purdy is not near Mahomes. So big edge there, Kansas City. Everything else is even. Pacheco and McCafferty, edge McCafferty, Kelsey, of course, better than Kittle, Deebo Samuel. So it's Kelsey against Deebo, pretty close. That's what you got. Other hand of the ball, defense, they're dead even. I mean, KC, they both have 20 defenses. They're both very strong. They're both just shut you down. All right. So there's really no difference there. About 2019 defenses. I mean, look what they did. KC 17-10 to Baltimore. Frisco, on the other hand, gave up 31 to Detroit. Let's say 24. So we're not sure with that. So that's what you got to really look at is what's really going on. So if everything's even and the edge goes to Mahomes, then we look at the spread. And the Niners by 2. And then you look at KC as a dog and you go, wow, they're a great dog. The Niners, on the other hand, are actually a road favorite here because the game's not in San Francisco. And they're a pretty good road favorite, but KC is a great road dog. So in these situations, if I figure that both teams, so I'm open-minded at this point. All right. So this is how I be stoic. How I am stoic. My mind's open. Who do I do? I want Frisco, do I want KC? And then I get it down to Mahomes is better than Purdy. And then I get it down to KC's a great dog. And so I get it down to it's pretty even. Actually, KC's a slight edge. I'll tease the dog. Now the mind closes. Now I'm not going to be swayed. I don't want people coming on saying, oh, I got inside information that Frisco's going to win big. Nobody's got inside information on bullshit. So you're not going to get me off of Kansas City +8. I got more than a touchdown. They're a great road dog. They've been in 3 Super Bowls in 5 years. Really, the only time they lost, the first year to New England in overtime, and they lost to Joe Burrow by 3 against Cincinnati, and then they won the other 2 Super Bowls, and then they lost to Tom Brady. So basically, they don't lose by a lot. The Niners haven't won a Super Bowl for a while. I think primetime was on that team. A good team, but then you see the doubt giving up 31 to the Lions. You're like, what the fuck was that? And KC's got a similar but better offense. They can run the ball and they can throw it. The difference is the Lions throw it to Porta and St. Cloud, where KC's going to throw it to Kelsey and Rice. The Lions ran Montgomery, and KC will run Pacheco and Chocolate Eclair. So it's virtually pretty much even. KC can dissect this Frisco game and see what worked against them and what didn't work against them. And the fact they just crushed Baltimore and the greatest quarterback in the world that's ever played, Lamar, who's won how many championship games? Oh, yeah, none. Yeah, okay. Yeah, he's the greatest. So I was doing this thing, ranking quarterbacks in my head at Swim. So if we go through it, you got 2 at the top. You got Burrow and Mahomes. They're like the A pluses. Then you got you get Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers and Herbert and Stafford. And that's about it as your A's. Then you get your B's. And your B's are going to be Kirk Cousins. It's going to be Russell Wilson. It's going to be Tagliavua. It's going to be Derek Carr. It's going to be maybe Kyler Murray, maybe. And I think you put Purdy there. Maybe Mayfield. And then you get to the next level and you got whoever's at Cleveland. Let's say it's Winston or DTR. You get Golf. Well, Golf's probably the one above it. Fields isn't even there. Love probably goes there. So that's like the C's. Trevor Lawrence is there. Stroud. maybe Hurts, Geno Smith, Kyler Murray, Prescott, and that's it. And then you got your lower tier, which will be Fields, Tannehill, or whoever the Tennessee quarterback is, Richardson, if he's playing, Oakland's quarterback, whoever that is, Zappy, Heineken, or Riddler, whoever the Giants quarterback's going to be, Taylor or Jones. Thurston Howell III, Steve Young at Carolina, and whoever Pittsburgh's quarterback is. That's kind of how I broke it down. So Purdy's kind of in the B crap category. So you really only have two elites, Burrow and Mahomes. If you think Lamar's in that category, out of your freaking mind. Those guys get to Super Bowls. Lamar's had what, 6-7 years? And he ain't never going to get one because he can't throw. He's not a quarterback. This is where I'm like Jesse. I tell it the way it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, and I'm not going to kiss anybody's ass. If Lamar was so good, he'd have been in a couple Super Bowls already. What do you think? It's a coincidence that Mahomes and Burrow keep going to the Super Bowl? So good luck. Hey, Greg and John. So with that said, that's why we bet on Mahomes as a dog, because he's a winner. He gets to the Super Bowl. So that makes your bet. And then you go to the other, okay, we got to do a teaser. What's the second half of our bet? Or do we not do a teaser and just take Kansas City in 2.5? You probably could get away with Kansas City 2.5. But if they lose by 3, you'd be looking at a pretty pissed Teaser King. So because of that, I tend to just stay at 8 points. I'll take the teaser and figure out the over-under. Not a problem. So with that said, I look at the defense. I look at the offenses, and like the Lions are an over team. We had Kansas City at points last week. They went easy. And then we go over in the Lion game, which we won easy. Third quarter. So looking at this, we know we got Mahomes, but they don't play high-scoring games. They beat Lamar 17-10. They beat Miami 26-7. And the Buffalo game was 27-24. That was 51. But even at that, we're under 54 here. And if Buffalo didn't get over, the Niners, can they score? Yeah. But you got Purdy, and you're going to have a Super Bowl where both teams are going to be a little bit nervous. It's going to lead to more of a defensive game. The key will be turnovers, punt returns. Are they going to run a punt back? Okay, that kills your under. Pick sixes. Probably not a lot of pick sixes on Mahomes. Will Purdy throw a pick six? He did throw an interception to the Lions last week. So maybe. We're not sure yet. So when I look at two strong defenses, I think of the Baltimore game and even the Buffalo game. And, I look at Frisco, okay, high-scoring game. I look at Frisco against Green Bay it was only 24-21. as much as you thought that was a high scoring game, it was only a 45. And so I think that's where you're looking at. I think KC gets low 20s and Frisco struggles to get to the 20 because KC doesn't allow a lot of 20-point games. So I think my score is 20-10, Kansas City. I think KC gets out like they've been doing and then runs the ball and runs the clock. And they don't really have the weapons. And they got Mahomes, who's just first down. You get Purdy with McCaffrey. They're going to run the ball. So it's just it's just low scoring. You don't have weather to worry about. It's in a dome. So it's not like cold or wind, which would make it an under. Excuse me. So then it just comes to the defenses. And I just think that you held Lamar 17-10 on a really a broken play by him. Purdy's not going to run on you too much. So look for a lot of punts and lows. And again, at 48, you're talking 54 points. 28-24 is 52. So you're looking at a 30-point game, 30-30. There's no way. Kansas City will not play that. And the Niner defense, look for them to really get revved up here. They'll be scared because it's Mahomes. Look at them to play much bigger. Against Green Bay and Detroit, they probably laughed. Yeah, well, we got them. So a lot of punch. Should be a defensive game, even though there's Mahomes and even though there's McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel. I mean, they, like I said, they shut down Baltimore. 10 points. Who would have thought it except for us, right? But if you keep giving me, see, if KC was favored last week, I'd have bet the under. But if you're giving me KC and the points, that's it. So here we're forced to go team and over under. So we're going to go Kansas City as a dog, check that. And then had it been like a low 40, I would have probably went over 34. But because it's a 48, I can go under 54. I just cannot imagine this game gets into 31-30. I just can't imagine that. So I'm going to go under. So we've got Kansas City plus the 8 and under 54, basically. Pretty strong bet. Not a lock. I locked last week, so I had Kansas City and the Detroit over was a lock. This week I'm not. I'm just going to count my money and go, okay. So now it's locked in. There's nothing you're going to say to change me. I can't take Frisco because Mahomes is a dog. There's no way I'm getting off of that. And that's what you'll hear on TV. This is what I warn you about. Don't listen to that shit. So please be careful with that. The key is to be stoic. Once you make up your mind, that's it. You shouldn't change it unless there's something severe that happens. Mahomes gets hurt. Oh, okay. Well, then I got to get off of it. But generally, you're pretty much locked in. Like Alabama, Michigan. It took me all of 5 seconds to see that Alabama was a dog and bet them. And I knew it was Saban's last year. So I'm really shocked that the refs weren't on Saban's side. But that's what we got. So your Super Bowl, KC 20, Frisco 10. Take KC, the dog. Take the under, obviously. No major injuries that I'm seeing now. Debo Samuel with the shoulders fine. McCaffrey got a stinger. We saw him land on his head near the goal line at the end of the game, but I'm sure he'll play. George Kittle's got a hurt toe. Okay. Some linemen on Kansas City are questionable, but they got one more week. And it's a game you don't miss. It's, I'm in the Super Bowl. What injury? They'll all take the needles. They'll all play. Not a problem. So, with that said, that's how we do everything. So in my interview yesterday, I remember the question he asked me about, like, how do you model in Excel? And I said, well, you got this great big data, and then you put it into a thing, and you can do a pivot table with it, or you can set up a model with it. And I was getting in depth. And then he asked me about like costing. I says, well, there's material, there's labor, there's overhead. Material is easy. You go to the bottom. The labor is the hard part because how long is it going to take? And then he asked me standard versus actual. And I knew this from my master's, even though I really haven't used it much, but it's because I knew my master's so well. I said, well, standard's the budget. You think you're going to make 35 oil pans in an hour, and then what did you actually do? And if you actually did 35, you're fine. If you did 50, then you wonder about your budget. And if you did 20, you wonder about your budget. So then you look into how you came up with the standard. But it was questions like that I guess I'm the leader in the clubhouse, so which is good. So I know my trip to Turkey, at this point, it's March 23rd. She said she had to see if the school had something during the break. And I'm like, well, what does that matter? Why would we, if she's off, just say she's on vacation. Well, people in Russia go on vacations. So anyway, so really looking forward to meeting her. So if I get the job, he knows I have a Russian girlfriend. He knows, I'll just say I'm meeting her in Turkey. March 23rd is a Saturday, Sunday. So it'll be the 25th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. So the 25th to the 29th, I would be out. And I'd probably leave on that Friday afternoon and take the flight out and get there Saturday morning. Get them a Saturday afternoon flight. So I'm at the airport for 2 or 3 hours, and then we'll all cab to the hotel. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. That's what I normally do is get there instead of cabbing to the hotel. And then like Jenna would get there. How would I get her to the hotel? Now Uber works, but again, Uber's expecting me, not her. So we'll have to use that, but anyway, better off if I wait for him. Because they'll be stressed. Oh, I hope he's here, and and I'll be right there, and then they'll be comfortable. So especially the first meets like that. After that, then the trust is in and the comfort's there, and then you're fine. So anyway, I was very stoic in the interview, and my point is to when you're with people or an interview or anything, just be stoic. Don't talk too much. Get to the point. Listen. Answer the question. Have your own questions. I did have questions. And he was good. And I said, I'm ready to go. I mean, if you want me, I can start right away and I'll accept your offer, provided it's fair. There's a range, but I'm over the top of the range, so we'll see if he can do a little bit better. Anyway, so that's what's going on. So football, we're taking Casey over. I don't know what the fuck they're doing with this flag football and the Pro Bowl. Jesus Christ, they don't even want to play a game because they might get hurt. What kind of message is that sending? Oh, I'm going to tune in and watch flag football. Are you guys on drugs? Who's going to tune in for flag football? So don't like that at all. All right. Mark McGuire had a show today. I don't understand his guess, but let's go look at gold right now. It was up pretty good in the morning. I haven't seen it in a while. So again, I went to get my silver yesterday. Gold's down $17, so it started at 257 and about 9 o'clock went down to 228 for no reason. And now it's at 238. And silver's down. So if they're both, go buy them. People don't understand if they look at the wrong way. They're looking at when does gold go up, and what they should be going is, oh, good, it's down. I can go buy more. So if I was going to buy more, so if I get this job next week, I'm going to go celebrate by buying 2 or 3 ounces of gold. And I'm going to wait for one of these days and go, okay, gold's down. Where is this coming from? Why is this like that? Well, I don't want to fuck around with it while we're doing this. Anyway, so this is what I look for. But the difference is I know it's going to go up. I know why it's going up. You're printing the dollar. You know, everybody gets confused. They don't understand inflation. I was listening to this guy this morning. I hammered the hell out of the guy. Let's see if we can go to it. So anyway, this is just phony paper, right? So ignore this, but it's good to buy because this is what the idiots are using to price gold and silver, not the real price. And even if it goes to 3,000, it's not the real price. Real price is close to 20. So let's look at alligator. I don't know who this guy is. Ron Brandstetter, never heard of him. What an idiot. All right, let's just listen to a little.
I know, obviously, you follow gold and silver, and you provide, I understand, well, I see that you provide daily updates. So I'm really on what you're seeing, but I can see you also have a particular affinity to silver. And what are you thinking? So I'll start by asking you, what do you think about silver priced at 90 ounces of silver to buy an ounce of gold? What are you thinking?
Oh boy, that's a real hot
Who is this
with
idiot?
me, Andrew. I can't fathom taking, and I like to use this example. There's 20 American Silver Eagles in one tube, and I just can't fathom taking 4 tubes of American Silver Eagles and 10 additional coins and trading it for 1 ounce of gold. And I love gold, don't get me wrong, but the value proposition in doing that, I think, is just not there. That silver appears to be relative to gold, and I just think in general.
So isn't that a great description of what the fuck's going on? So, yeah, if you need to stack 90 to get the ounce of gold, you're going to stack 90 to get the ounce of gold. What do you mean you can't see doing it? In the world we're in, that's what you have to do. In the world you're in, you wouldn't do it because the silver we know is going to be much higher. Why would you do anything with $25 silver? Who is this guy? Ron Brandstetter, never heard of him. sounds like an idiot. Something with Ron's basement, which I'm like, who the hell? What an idiot. I don't think I commented. I'll see. Did I comment? No, I think, why don't a majority of stackers stack gold coins and silver and some only stack gold? Really? You're asking that question? Undervalued my ass that they gave that shit. They gave that shit away. Yeah, I don't think I commented here. He brings up something that was really stupid about a couple of the states coming out and having a gold, allowing gold to be used as money. And I'm thinking, well, what are they doing? Is the gold $50 or is the gold $2,000? I mean, how do you do gold at 2,000? And then what is the price you're going to dinner? You're going to use gold? So the whole thing that these states are allowing gold to be used as money makes absolutely no sense to me. I'm not going to have my silver valued at $1 when it's worth 25 or 30. So I don't really understand that. All I know is if I go to my barbecue place and I wanted to pay with silver for a $30 meal, he will take it. And that's all I got to give him is here's an ounce of silver for my meal. He gets it. So I don't know what the fuck. I mean, it's just it's if people understand it, they know it's money. That's it. But I don't know what a state has to do with it. And do they? All they're saying is it can be used as money. But do they have gold backed currency? How do I use my gold for money or my silver? So it only works if you know somebody else who's smart enough to understand gold's got value. And it's a hell of a lot more than the 2,000. So I don't know why anybody would use it for that kind of stuff. But this Ron guy, I'm not impressed with. So this is like I'm in the car. And I say to myself, a caller will come in and they're talking lions or something. And the caller will come in and make his comment. And I'm sitting there going to myself, what the fuck do I care? I don't care what caller Joe says about the Lions. What do I care about? And then they keep, Dan Campbell. I love Dan Campbell. Why do you love Dan Campbell? I love Dan Campbell, but I think it was the right decision to go for it. Or I love Dan Campbell, but it was the wrong decision to go for it. And I'm scratching my head going, I don't like Dan Campbell. I thought it was a stupid decision. And by the way, they lost the game. But then, so why am I listening to these idiots on the radio who are calling in? I don't even want to listen to the host. Usually I go onto YouTube and listen to Mark McGuire here or Egon or somebody. I do that, or Stoic in the car versus listening to these idiots on the radio. So, here he's got BRICS nation to drag U.S. back into the gold standard. What? What do you mean dragging the U.S. back into the gold? The whole subject doesn't make any sense. The BRICS will go on the gold standard. We don't have gold to go on the gold standard. We have zero gold. How can we go on a gold standard? How do we back our money with gold if we don't have gold to back it? Anyway. So this guy, who the fuck is he? And why, again, there's a few
what it was. And I think I think, as you say, so many people. A lot of people that follow us are really interested in what's happening your side of the pond as well. And that was a beautiful graphic description there of actually physically taking all of these.
What was beautiful about it, Mark?
Stacking them up physically and then saying, hang on a minute, am I just getting that one going back? And it's like that. To me, it's interesting. It's nice that you put it into.
What if it's 90 ounces of copper? You take it.
We get so, we accept massive numbers. They sort of roll off the tongue, a trillion rolls off the tongue when you can't even fathom the size of what a trillion is. And then we talk about 90 to 1 and we almost accept it. Oh yeah, well it's rubbish, but I mean it's ludicrous though.
Yeah.
And I thank you for drawing attention to that.
What do you do?
Mention as well, I hear different numbers regarding this, but from a mining perspective, it's my understanding, I hear sometimes there's 7 ounces of silver for each 1 ounce of gold, and I've heard it as high as 12 ounces of silver. But no matter what the number is, the amount of silver coming out of the ground relative to gold is not in any way reflected in this 90 to 1 ratio that we see. And on top of that, Andrew, I'll bank.
See, Greg and John, this guy's vampiring. He ends up, so I had to watch this once. He ends up asking Mark more questions, and you're wondering, why is he the guest? And all he says is, well, Mark, you know more than I do about this. You know more than I do about that. And he asks him all, I'm not sure how many ounces. Who cares? We don't give a fuck. All we give a fuck is the price of silver and the price of gold. And if gold's 3,000, silver should be 500, or it should be a lot higher. It should be 1/10, so it should be 300 an ounce. Who cares if it's the 7 ounces or 10 or 12? It's all immaterial. So this guy's a vampire, and he's on my fucking show.
My desk here. A lot of the silver that comes out of the ground, well, I think almost all of it at this point is being consumed by industry on top of that. So if you circle back to what you said earlier, that silver is also money, it still is a monetary metal. It's mind-boggling. It's maddening. Andrew, I go a little mad sometimes down in the basement.
Yeah, not as bad as Bill Murphy. My God, as he gets absolutely incensed, and understandably. But I think what is interesting, now we're recording this on the 24th, so please be aware, everyone.
It's February 2nd.
This is where we're recording it.
A week away.
So essentially, as of Monday, and I think this is interesting because the commodity trading advisors, this group of momentum chasing traders who really are chasing a dot on a screen and can be led by the nose by literally the inverse algo, dollar to silver algo, dollar to gold algo, and they can just be automated. These, I call them the useful fools of the cartel, and essentially what they're doing is they look at the silver price and they go, hang on a minute, they just look at the retail price of silver and it looks fairly soft. What they don't know is from a wholesale market perspective, and we just did an episode to really.
So apparently there's retail and wholesale. Retail is what me and you do. When I go to the coin store and I show you I bought 10 ounces of silver, and wholesale is more the manufacturers buying it to make batteries and solar panels and everything. So that apparently the bars are very tight there. And as he was saying, the Indians are now paying a premium. The Indians have never paid a premium for silver. I'm not sure about gold. Now they're paying a premium. So there's a very, very low supply of silver left. And when that blows up, COMEX blows up, price blows up. So that's what we're looking for, is that. All right, just a second. Boom, boom, boom. But at the end of the day, the mechanism's broken because it is not supply and demand. So if I go buy 10 ounces of silver, I don't move the needle, and it's actually down because of derivative. And this is the frustrating point that we run into is, why isn't it going up? Even if we all bought 100 ounces of silver or gold, that doesn't move the price. All right.
Reveal this. Over the weekend and on Monday, we had Indian wholesalers chasing us for 1,000-ounce bars. Now, even though the retail level looks soft, Indian wholesalers usually buy under spot, and they'll do it off the LBMA. And there are all those different various sources, and I know you know multiple sources where they can get this. Now, here's the thing: they were chasing once they start chasing, and this happens rarely. Once they start chasing the German, Swiss refiners, and are willing to pay over spot for wholesale bars, we know there's a problem. And of course, and there's these CTAs, Ron, I cannot believe it, these CTAs mindlessly chasing this stock on the screen. As you say, 90 to 1 makes no difference to them. It is incredible to me that on the other side of that market, we know that the commercials who are fully aware and are exposed to the T+2 delivery side of the spot market, we know that they're aware of that. And of course, into this, again, we've got another sell-off going on here. Pit open to pit close, just quite normal. They're on the long side of this. So who do you think's the ultimate winners of this trade?
Well, I've heard some people say, and you know much more about this than I do,
Right.
but that at some point, actual physical demand for silver will overwhelm the electronic markets. And I heard this gentleman, Ted Butler, I was reading one of his pieces over the weekend. He mentioned how over the last 3 years, we've had 400 million ounces of silver that have left the COMEX inventories and I guess the LBMA inventory through the SPY ETF. I just think at some point, the actual physical demand for the metal will overwhelm this electronic market. And I'm encouraged to see that we're seeing new markets that are being developed. I'm sure, and again, you know way more about this than I do, but like the Shanghai Gold.
What a vampire. Well, you know more about it than I do. You know more about it than I do. What is he doing on the fucking show? Apparently he doesn't know anything. And he keeps asking Mark McGuire the questions, but isn't this Mark's show that he brings the guest on for his knowledge? So what am I gaining by having this guest on? Well, Mark, you know more than I do. This is a vampire. All right.
Over 300 million ounces of silver into India. I think it was 330 million. And that represents almost 35 or 40% of the entire mining industry output of silver for the year. I mean, it doesn't make sense. And I'm going to ask your opinion on something.
All right, here we go.
To the wholesale market. I've heard a few people lately talk about how China in particular is actually starting to bypass
I told us last week.
And going directly to miners in Mexico and saying, hey, we'll buy your concentrate, we'll buy your ore, we'll buy your doré bars, whatever it may be. Have you heard anything about that?
Yeah, you said it last week.
Gold. Absolutely, and that's been going on for a long time. And I think it's not appreciated because people look at.
So,
I think a strange.
What is the guy doing on the show? I'm going to ask you a question. So if I had a guest on, which I would never do because they're not going to be in our league. Well, Professor, I'm going to ask you something. No. You're the guest. I brought you on for your viewpoint, not to. You're here to put in your input, not to ask me for that. I've already covered everything here. What a fucking idiot.
What do you think happened to it? Well, but really a PSYOPs operation that began in 2013. Now, if you remember, just the bigger picture here, 2013, if you remember April 2013, we had some of the LBMA banks, ABN AMRO was the first to write to our clients. In fact, we were the first to publish our client's letter and that says, hey, you... Says in primarily related to gold, coming to a head where we also see that there's so much physical gold has been accumulated by the Sino-Russia alliance that you could actually then, they're in a position where multiples of what is owned by the West is owned by the global South, who want to actually desanction themselves. And the gold price revaluation even is, we believe that Saxo Bank, who is Ole Hansen, and these people are highly respected in my view. These are the people that are very pragmatic. They're not chasing anything. They simply say $3,000 gold is where it should be. And these are very pragmatic people. We also believe that a gold price revaluation, once it's triggered, and it will be triggered, it won't be triggered from the West, it'll be triggered from the East. It will force every other bank who all have a gold revaluation account to immediately sell and buy back at market and revalue at what will be the price determined by this massive, massive powerhouse. And what's that going to do to silver? And this is the point.
Right.
This is the interesting part. And this is the part that really
Listen, Bobby,
concentrating on, is that what that will do is implode the ratio trade. It is who in their right mind, there'll be such a scramble to exit that trade, which is really the cause of 90 to 1. It's ludicrous. I mean, this is where all this synthetic action, nothing really in that ratio trade is not, there's nothing real about it. It's pure synthetics. And you just talked about, lower, it's probably 8 to 1 is the real sort of level. A revaluation in gold is going to put silver at $200.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah. Because $35 is going to blow every single technical resistance level out. I mean, it's to me, this is where we're looking in 2024. Mm-hmm. $3,000 gold is going to force silver, drag silver up by its socks.
I'm glad you.
So there you have it. What did he just say? He says that the whole thing is synthetic, which is the derivatives. So that's why when I look at the price of COMEX, we don't care because it's not real. It's synthetic. It's options. It's derivatives. It's paper. Everything I just show you when I go to that chart is paper. It's not real. So he says, I don't know why he keeps coming up with $3,000 gold. I mean, it's more like 20,000, not 3,000. Again, he's still using the COMEX price of 2,000 to get his 3,000. Why are you doing that? It's much higher. So anyway, that's what you're looking at is they'll revalue gold, which will de-dollarize the dollar. Everybody will run to gold. It's the Titanic. The gold price shoots up, the silver price shoots up, and there you go. It blows up COMEX. So we need the de-dollarization to start. And these guys hate the dollar. So look for it to look for China. Now, China is backing it too. India is buying all the silver. There's huge demand for silver from India. I know they make jewelry, but you'd think they'd want gold too. They must be getting gold. So the thought of why is the COMEX price down? When you see it drop, is there no demand? Because only demand can lower this. This is $100 a bottle, and now there's no demand. I got to lower the price. But is that really what's happening? I don't think so. So if that's not what's happening, it is in paper, but not in real world, not in physical. The physical demand for silver and gold are through the roof. All the central banks are lining up their gold. Even now in the Eurozone, they're starting to buy gold, apparently, although Egon didn't think so. They're starting to buy gold to go on their own gold-backed euro. So I don't know how much gold they need. Now, you got to understand the biggest thing about gold is no wars, no inflation, very little unemployment. It's a plus, plus, plus. The only problem is you can't go to war with gold because you can't print money. So you can only go with the money you have. Or I guess you could raise the price of the gold. So all the central banks are buying gold. So don't worry about the demand. Don't worry about this price drop here. And as he's saying, as they revalue gold to de-dollar, so everybody wants to get away from the dollar. As they de-dollarize, they're all going to go to gold, and the price of gold goes through the roof, blows up COMEX, price of silver follows. So don't worry, Bobby. Gold goes up, silver goes up. Yeah, it's used for, computers and electric car batteries and solar panels and many other things, but it's money. I didn't buy the 10 ounces yesterday to make a battery. I bought it because it's money. And don't lose sight of that ever. That's the key to gold and silver are money. That's why when you ask me about platinum or palladium or whatever, or Bitcoin, they're not money. Sorry. Bitcoin, to be money, as I've stated over and over, has to be limited, and it has to be approved. Everybody has to agree to it, and it isn't. I don't take Bitcoin here. I wouldn't take it. You want to buy my picks, you can pay me in gold and silver, or at this point, the US dollar, because it's still available to turn into gold. But after that, So that's where we stand on it. So this is all about to happen very, very soon. The de-dollarization, which means we don't want dollar, we want paperback bricks. We want gold-back bricks, gold-back rubles. We want gold for our oil. I don't know what's going to happen here. I'm thinking and trying to figure out. So I have my gas-powered car, and now I don't have, I got to go get more gas. What's the price going to be? If they want gold, there's no way they can ask for gold for the oil. We don't have gold to give them. And we have a fair share. So is the price going to go to $25 a gallon? I mean, I'm going to go out later, fill up for $2.75, $2.80 a gallon, not 25 or 30 or 40. But if it's gold back, we don't have gold anyway, but we're too big of a market for them to just blow us away. Maybe that's why they're pushing electric cars, because they know BRICS is going to go to gold-backed currency, which we don't have, and the only way we can survive is with electric cars, because we won't be able to afford gas. That's a long shot, but that's as far as my thinking can carry me. Why the fuck they're making electric cars when nobody wants them? And even if we do, they're so expensive. So it's starting to sound like these elitists with this great reset, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, this Soros Jr., the guy's a fucking idiot in charge. So understanding that, what they don't understand is free market. So they're going to try to shove it down our throat. I was watching something where they were looking at there won't be any more food. And I'm like, so you think the grocery stores, the big ones, and the McDonald's, as big as they are, and Wendy's, you think they're just going to go away? They're not going to put up a fight. They're not going to make their own food. I guarantee you, Kroger's or Costco or whatever, you expect these billion-dollar company, McDonald's, to just go out of business so the elitists can stop having food. Give me a break. It's in their best interest to feed us, and they make a lot of money. So there's no way they're going to just lay down and let it happen. That's always been my argument. These companies are not going out. And look what Ford and GM are doing. They're losing billions on their electric cars, and they're saying, fuck it, we're not going to make them anymore. We're going to make gas-powered cars because we're losing our ass on electric cars. And that's when you just hear the noise and you just start ignoring it. So it's like this guy, oh, you know more than I do, so why don't you answer the question? What are you doing on the show? Unbelievable. Where'd you find this guy? I never heard of him. I don't know his background. Is he Austrian? I doubt. I don't even think I don't know what he is. I doubt he's even an economist. And I just sit here going, why aren't I on the show? You don't want anybody with intelligence on your show? Okay. And that's why I read in you're a bunch of idiots. So that's where we're headed. The de-dollarization means they don't want the dollar. They want the BRICS back with gold. There's now, 10, 11 countries. There's another 30 or 40 ready to join. Argentina and Brazil they don't want to use the dollar, but they don't know where else to go. They're not smart enough to set up their own system because everything's linked to the dollar. And I assume that the U.S. is putting pressure on them to keep it that way. Otherwise, if I'm Argentina and you're Brazil, I go, okay, let's come up with a way that we can figure out, what to price it at. And just, I'll hand you Argentina, you give me Brazil. I mean, I know I do that when I go to Europe. I just take my debit card and say, give me euros. So I'm paying with euros with dollars, but that's because it's the main thing. So when it comes to that, I'm going to have to buy BRICS, not when I go to Turkey, but later on. I'll have to buy BRICS currency to buy euros or something. It's going to be really fun. So we'll have to see how it shakes out. At the end of the day, I don't have enough gold. I doubt I have enough silver, but I don't have enough gold because I can see where it's headed. You want as much as humanly possible. And the fact that you're the reserve currency doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean you won't go to zero. It only means you're the reserve currency. That you forced other people into using your currency to trade between currencies, of which nobody wants that. If the demand's not there, there goes the market. No market, no price. It's not backed by gold. So the U.S. would be forced to have gold back. Well, how are they going to pay for things? If they don't have gold back currency, it's going to be like $1,000 to buy something. And that's when we go and fly to Switzerland and go live there, or Germany or Amsterdam or something like that. It's funny, when I was in Berlin, Jenna's friend, Natasha, comes up to me and she says, why do the Americans come to Berlin? It's very dangerous here. There's a lot of criminals. There's not a lot of jobs. I mean, there's big problems here. And I said, I have no idea, but I'm going to Switzerland. I'm not living here. But, I guess she thinks we know all the Americans. Oh, you're American. You must know everybody. And I go, I don't, because these are probably the crazies that go to Berlin. Couldn't answer, I says, I agree, and I'm like, why are you here then? Well, I get free rent. Yeah, okay. So with the gold-backed currency, we get back to Say's law, where produce goods to services to get money. You produce goods and services to get money. I'm doing that with Teaserking. Bobby had a service hitting baseballs. You produce Canadian clubs. So you do this to be supplied, to get money, to demand other people's things. So I get a finance job so I can go buy Canadian club or water or phone or computer or whatever. And so people are supposed to produce the goods you want. That's the key point. And that's not what we're not doing with electric cars. People are not demanding electric cars. Now, the government might know something like the price of oil is going to go through the roof because they're going to want gold for it. That might be what they're doing, but they're not telling us that. Anyway. Let's see. I mean, it's hard with this guy. He's such an idiot, but I think I just hit the key point. When it happens, COMEX blows up, gold goes through the roof, silver follows gold. So that's what we've got to focus on. The de-dollarization is the iceberg. We're on the Titanic. We hit the iceberg. The water's coming in. We get into the lifeboat. We got our gold and silver, and we wait for the boat to go down. We don't stay on it until the boat sinks and then say, oh, we need to get on the lifeboat. We got to get on the lifeboat first, which is what we've done. So now, instead of the iceberg, it's BRICS. It's the de-dollarization, BRICS gold-backed currency, everybody getting out of the dollar or off the boat into the gold-backed BRICS currency, which China's got about 60,000 tons. They keep changing. I thought Russia had like 32,000. Now he's saying they have like 20,000. But I think it's, if you look at everything, it's 32,000. I don't know. China's got 60. Excuse me. China's got 60, and Russia, let's put it at 30. So it's about 90, 100,000 tons. He's talking about 400 million ounces. And the question is, how many tons? There's only 500,000 tons of silver. But when you try to do it on your Excel, you can't really put in 500,000 and then times it by 32,000 ounces. So you almost have to do 500,000 times 32 and then just add, add like 5 zeros to it or something. So it never works in Excel. It's too big of a number. All right. So let's see. Is there any other Mark McGuire's?
I'm glad you brought that up, because I think silver investors in particular, we focus on a lot of the
collectors.
Silver specific fundamentals, but we forget about the fact that, like you said, if gold is revalued, if gold is allowed to get to its natural price, that it will bring silver with it, number one, and that silver, I like to joke around and call silver, gold's the big brother and silver is the
that's real funny. Why are you vampiring us?
Sister or little brother that
what an idiot,
really skyrocket. I want to ask your opinion on something.
Again,
you brought up this de-dollarization process. We could talk for hours about what's going on with the BRICS and the BRICS.
You can't talk for 5 minutes, fella.
I like to say that in 1971, President Nixon temporarily off the
we got it, Boran.
Do you think, and I'm stating this in very simplistic terms, but do you think that in, let's say, 2024 or 2026, that China and Russia could force the United States?
This is how stupid this guy is.
Default, I guess, is maybe not the right term, but could force the United States to a certain degree, maybe indirectly, if that makes sense, back onto the gold standard. Does that question compute at all?
Why are you on the show?
I think we're even looking a little too far out there because literally, when you think about it, I mean, and we've gone through some empirical evidence there where most people are estimating China's holding between 30,000 and 40,000 tons in reality because it's monetary. Mm-hmm. Monetary gold doesn't get reported. We had Setzer on a Bloomberg report saying, oh, hang on, there's 3.24 trillion that China has. It's double that. The rest of it is parked in the state-held banks in shadow banking operations. Well, we actually believe, and our very, very reliable insiders there have said, a big chunk of that's already being converted into physical gold. Why wouldn't it be? You want to sanction-proof yourself. It started in 2010, 2022, after Russia, the dollar was weaponized against Russia. China really ramped up this de-dollarization process. So they have a huge pool of physical. China can also, and this is, we did an episode back in 2023, which where we were reporting on the Chinese generals and Xi talking about, look, we're getting ready for a war. Because they think in long terms, they're not saying immediately. So therefore, the 20,000 tons that Chinese citizens have ordered to be bought through the Shanghai Gold Exchange, we could actually technically access that too. And we'll offer a patriotic lease rate back, and we will give them, they're willing, they're not seizing it, it'll never be seized, but we'll offer you a great return. The average Chinese person would say, well, absolutely, as long as I'm getting a return.
But that's what they did here in the 1930s. Everybody thinks they forced them to give up their gold, like the FDR. They didn't. If you brought it in, they paid you the $20 that the price of the gold was going for. So it's not like they just stole it from you. They didn't come to your house and knock on it and say, oh, do you have gold in here? This is what the story is misleading. It's you took it into the bank. So I would take 2 ounces of gold, and they'd give me $4,000 with it. I'd say, oh, okay, if I wanted to trade it in. But it didn't force you, and they were paying you for it. So it's not like they came to your house and took it, which is the biggest misconception. Everybody's, oh, the government can take my money. They're not going to take your money. They're not coming in your house. You don't have to let them in your house. And believe me, they don't have enough police to do it, and they don't want to do it. They'll get you on the tail end when you cash it in. It's $50,000 an ounce, and then they'll try to 1099 you. But that's why you buy quarter ounces and half ounces. You just cash in a quarter ounce for $5,000, and you don't have to pay tax on it. All right.
And I've got an assurance from my government that I'll get repaid. So now you've upped it to 60,000 tons. Add in Russia's potential, probable 20,000 tons.
38
80,000 tons. Why would you have the nuclear option? There'll be no wars. You have the nuclear option of pressing that button and revaluing. Yeah. You also have the power to back Glasnev's gold-backed currency, where you've got a multi-trillion-dollar oil trade, energy trade, and you can then back that because you now have the facilities to back that with gold. So this is it's starting to all come together. Mm-hmm. And you have geopolitical escalations. You've got NATO now really strutting their stuff. I'm not taking sides here, but hey, you're talking Russia, you're talking China, you're talking Iran, all this kind of whole complex. It's getting very dangerous out there. And so really, there'll be no nuclear war, but the nuclear option is for them to revalue. That would force every other central bank to revalue and they all have a gold revaluation account, of course, probably about $1,200. So they'll revalue at whatever the price that they determine is what it's going to be. This is the question. Where does that leave the Fed, mm-hmm. who is the only central bank out there who have 8,133 tons of unaudited and very likely rehypothecated gold, what happens when they are forced to revalue from $42?
Yeah, the United States is dragged kicking and screaming back into the gold standard.
Yep.
It would be like, and correct me if I'm wrong, I like to try to simplify things, but what you're saying is the rest of the world, the majority of the world, could be trading and backing their trade essentially with gold, backing their currency with gold. And they then say to the United States, well, if you want to play with us still, China says, if you want,
see, he's vampiring now. He doesn't know. He's making a comment he doesn't know about. He shouldn't be doing it.
Play with gold too, because we don't want, the United States is, well, we have this great paper money. It's backed by confidence, and
vampire.
And they say, well, that's great. You can do whatever you want, but what we want is something backed by gold.
No, we want gold.
Absolutely. So what?
So what is this guy doing? He doesn't know anything, right?
There's too much evidence to suggest there's a problem with that these 8,133 tons haven't been rehypothecated, because you only have to take an example of Germany being refused in 2013 to even inspect their bullion, taking 7 years initially to return 300 tons. Come on, red flags are flying. If you were a private vault, you'd have been shut down, you'd have been audited, there would have been a problem. So I guess the question is, Ron, is given that there's so much empirical evidence to suggest that there's multiple ownership claims on US Treasury gold, then essentially what's going to happen is if they don't revalue, if they're the only central bank not to revalue, then every other central bank who is wanting to revalue will repatriate every ounce, every ton, every kilo is still lodged there, so that they can do what they should have to do to back their own currencies. And I think if the Fed doesn't revalue, it exposes this rehypothecation. If they do revalue, it stays under the radar. In fact, suddenly you've got $42, suddenly valued at 3,000, 2,500, 3,000. So it's a lot of problems, does it not?
Yeah, absolutely. And am I correct that a lot of the major European economies actually own, their central banks own an amount?
Yeah. Where do you know that, fella?
Reflective of the relative size of their economies to each other in the EU. I'd read that, like Holland and France and Germany, that these central banks, to a certain degree, are almost already preparing for this possibility.
Yeah, it's about 4% relative to GDP. And again, so here we have a situation in which this Bloomberg report sets a ex-Treasury official says, well, hang on, there's still over 3 trillion of these unreported shadow bank reserves, which we believe have been converted to physical. Then essentially, what have you got here? You've got a real problem here, because if that is the case, and we sincerely believe it's the case, because this is not a friendly country, we are at odds with these countries. We are technically at war with these countries. Let's not kid ourselves. Then basically it's possible that it's a 40% backing to GDP. It is possible relative to these holdings. Now, so then you've got 4% in Europe. Well, look, hang on a minute. A revaluation is the perfect instrument to take control, for the global south to take control without firing a single shot. And I think this is what we're going to see in 2024. And people say, well, I would have thought initially, before this year started and before this sudden geopolitical escalations, I would have thought maybe a year, a couple of years out. Not anymore. I really think this is going to happen. It's going to blindside. This is why I'm saying to everyone that I speak to, look, from a wealth preservation perspective, how much physical do you own now?
Yeah.
That's all you need to be asking yourself. How much physical?
Yeah, gold and silver have always been money.
Oh my God! Did he really just say that? This is the best guess they could get. They don't want me on the show. They get some idiot who all he does is ask Mark McGuire questions. What do you think of this? What do you think of that? Because he doesn't know. What is the point of having him on for? You want guys on like me, like Alligator, like Egon, who bring something to the table. We add value. This is like you, Greg and John. You're coming in asking questions. We want you to add value like Bobby does, like Luke does. So anyway, enough of this clown. What else do we got? So we watched this yesterday. Soros Jr., who's a moron. Although I do like, I've never heard of this Candace Owens, but Bobby, it sounds like you know her. She seems pretty good. A couple of stoic videos I'm not going to get into, but this is why people dislike you, because you're smarter than they are probably. If I'm talking gold and you don't understand gold, you won't like me like they do at the gym, right? If I'm in the hot tub and I bring up gold, they don't like me because I know it and they don't. They're inferior because my skill set is I know about gold and I know about economics, and they don't want to admit that they don't know that I'm more knowledgeable only in this subject, though, not every subject. So the fact I'm more knowledgeable, I got to take my picture for my diary, but anyway, sorry about that. So that's why they don't like you, is because you know something they don't. They're inferior, but they can't bring themselves to say, Jesus, maybe I should ask him what he knows that I don't know, and I don't know about gold. And that's really what you're looking at, why people don't like you, because you're smart. You're not trying to rub it in their faces. I'm just trying to be, hey, you should do that. But as Julia said, fuck them, don't even pay attention to them. More gold and silver for us. So when I went yesterday to the gold store, like I said, he had the silver, but he had a lot less, I guess. And then the gold, he only had 3 ounces of Eagles. And then he had the 4/10 of an ounce Eagles and 4/10 of an ounce Maple Leafs. That's all he had. So I'm at the point, if I get the job, I got to go buy some more ounces. Because I probably have to give them to the girls anyway a little bit. So here's one on China's stock markets. If you think that the stock market won't post, let's look at this one. Because I get a...
Traders, did you know that almost half the market is hidden from you? That's right. The stock price is on.
Shut the fuck up.
So the mood in India is festive, but some of its neighbors are not feeling it. Pakistan is sulking and showing it with a letter. Pakistan has officially condemned the consecration of the Ram Temple and urged India to ensure the safety of religious minorities. You're not making this up. This is Pakistan, which imperils everyone's safety, minority or majority. Of course, they're not happy about the event in Ayodhya. And its iron brother China is also not feeling blessed. They're losing money, and how? Investors are packing up and leaving China. Losses are mounting. The Hong Kong markets are in chaos. They witnessed a mass sell-off. It began last week, and this morning it worsened. The losses have been steep. Hong Kong stocks are trading at 36% discounts. Their value has fallen substantially. Ask an investor, and they'll likely tell you now is the time to buy. But ask an investor who's familiar with the Chinese market, and they might tell you to hold your horses. This situation is like a falling knife. It's best to not try to catch it. And it's hard to say how much it will fall. But I'll give you a figure to understand how big this is. Since 2021, over $6 trillion have been wiped off from the Chinese and Hong Kong market. $6 trillion. And Hong Kong, as you would know, is home to the Hang Seng Index. It's an important financial hub. Its value has fallen below 15,000, which is the lowest in 15 months. And this marks the end of the Hong Kong story. Before the pandemic, Hong Kong was a gateway to the mainland for investors willing to bet on China and its growth story. They used Hong Kong to funnel their investments into China, but now the circumstances are quite different. China's growth has come to a halt.
The external environment has become more complex, and the severity and uncertainty have increased. Domestic demand is still insufficient. Some industries have overcapacity. Social expectations are weak. There are still many risks and hidden dangers, and there are also impediments in the domestic circulation.
Risks and hidden dangers. There's also Western pressure in the form of sanctions. They've limited China's access to advanced technologies. Thus, China is locked in a trade war with the US. Beijing was hoping for a better start to 2024, but even they admit now that it's challenging.
Looking ahead to 2024, we also need to see that the current external environment remains complex and severe. Domestic effective demand is insufficient, overcapacity in some industries, social expectations are weak, and there are many hidden risks. These are still a number.
So for those of you who don't think that the U.S. market can crash, look what's happening in Hong Kong and China. Now, it's all because of our inflation and our recession. Our money's worth less. The inflation's bad, which means we can't buy as much because our dollar doesn't buy as much. But in the recession, more people are laid off. So what happens is we have less, we can buy less goods and services because our money's worth less. So we can't buy from China all the stuff that we were buying from China. And that's affecting their markets. And that's what they said. There's overcapacity. We're not buying it, but they're not smart enough to understand. If they understood Austrian economics, they would go, well, fuck, they raised interest rates. There's going to be a recession. And if there's going to be a recession, we better make less. Because if the U.S. is our primary buyer, we're fucked. And that's what we're at. So keep that in mind. Yes, people... what do you think is going to happen to our stock market? It's going to crash. Again, I talked to you guys last night about it, but yeah, I mean, it's you're going to have less sales. The inflation hurts everybody. You have less money. Things are more expensive. Now, I was listening to something where, the Great Reset. They want us to have nothing, own nothing, and like it, but it won't work. So let's say you have all these houses and what are you going to rent them out? Well, people can move, and then it costs a lot of money to own the house. So you're going to lose a lot of money holding these houses. And then when the money goes to zero, that kills the elitist plan, right? The whole New World Order or Great Reset, the one thing they're not factoring in is Austrian economics. They're not factoring where the market, and they're not factoring in if the dollar goes to zero, then we're all fucked anyway. You can own all the houses you want, BlackRock, but guess what? When the dollar goes to zero, you don't own anything. So now keep in mind, whatever you have, okay, so I know what I was thinking. So what happens to our Mahomes card? And as I said, even if it's the BRICS comes out with a gold-backed currency and our dollar goes away. So I told you, this goes to zero in dollars. and then it'll get revalued in gold as your house will, as your car will, as your Canadian Club 12-year, as your Rolex, as any asset that you own. That's why you own real assets. They go to zero in dollars, but if they still, it's a Mahomes card, people in these other countries still like Mahomes, and they'll give you gold for it because that'll be the money. So all we're doing is switching from dollars to gold. 99% of these morons just don't understand that. Look at Warren Buffett. I got $2 billion in cash. Big fucking deal. When it goes to zero, then what do you got? You got a lot of toilet paper there, Warren Buffett. And that's really what happens with that. So keep that in mind. So understand that's what's going to happen. Your house will go to zero, and then it'll be priced in gold, and then it'll revalue in gold. So the de-dollarization simply means I won't use dollars, but I'll instead use this BRICS currency backed by gold. I'll use the new gold dollar. So all you're doing is switching out. We're no longer using the US. Now we use the de-dollarization. We use the gold-backed currency. But we're still hoping for competition. We don't want a monopoly. Right now, there's a monopoly of US dollars. You can't get out of it. There's nothing else you can switch with. So with gold, you still want competition, or they'll hold you hostage with the gold just as they're holding you hostage with the US dollar. So keep in mind, you always want competition. It's the only way to survive. You don't want a monopoly. You don't want the Fed printing the dollars. But that's, if nobody wants the dollar, it's worthless. I don't care if you're the reserve currency or you're driving the Titanic. You don't have demand. It's zero. And all our dollar is based on faith in the government. Why anybody has faith in the government, I have no fucking idea. But that's the thing. So actually, the competition of the gold-backed dollar versus the US dollar, the gold-backed dollar wins easily over the US dollar. And that's really what you got to understand. And then after that, the US dollar collapses because nobody will have faith, but it will take time. So you're going to get the stock market crash because people are all going to sell their US assets and turn them into probably this BRICS assets. They'll buy gold-backed currencies. And that'll bring in huge inflation, and that'll wipe out the dollar. Nobody will want it. But it'll happen last year. So as the stock market crashes, they won't explain why. And the dollar will be weaker and weaker. But they won't explain why, and they'll still use it. And all we can do is like, if you, as soon as you get paid or as soon as you get US dollars, just go buy gold with it. That's all you can do, is just keep buying gold and silver. Can we buy gold-backed BRICS? I don't know. Maybe I can give Daria money to do it, but I don't know how much money I got to give her to buy the gold-backed BRICS. Because who knows? It might be $1,000 to buy one gold-backed brick Russian ruble gold-backed currency. I don't know. It sure as hell ain't going to be my dollar's worth 90 rubles. That ain't going to happen. So I give her $100 and she gets 9,000 rubles. Problem is 9,000 rubles buys you a cup of soup and a coffee. So even though it's a lot, it's not. That's why gold's the beautiful equalizer, because you can't fuck with it. You can't print it, and it never can lose its value. But you have to understand that. People think because gold's been price fixed that there's no price for it. And they don't understand there's no price. Or this price 2,000, they're controlling the price, and they're not understanding this 2,000 is really not the real price. So not only is it not real, but you have the wrong price, and you have the wrong reasoning. Oh, gold's not worth anything. Gold's worth probably, I would say the fair price is 20,000 an ounce. Being conservative. Because if you let it go, as soon as you let it go and it hits 3, it goes to 5, it goes to 10, it goes to 20. Because then people start waking up and the demand increases and people start waking up all over the world because everybody's fucked with the dollars. And people will start waking up and everybody will start jumping into gold. Oh, wait, look, gold's 3,000. Gold's, and that'll push it to 5, to 10, to 20. However, the pricing mechanism is done, everybody will buy it. And then eventually it'll get overwhelmed. And eventually there isn't any more to buy, which then it's like the Super Bowl, right? So the initial tickets came out. I don't know how much an initial ticket is, let's say you're at the 20-yard line in the lower bowl. What is that? $500? Only now it's going to cost you $10,000 to get that seat. But it's not the initial price. It's the secondary market price. Okay, we're all sold out. Oh, you want to go to the game? Okay, now somebody's going to sell you his ticket really expensive. In fact, that's what they probably did. Was Joe Blow bought all the tickets figuring, okay, I can make a killing selling them. And I'm sure that's what happened. So you're going to do the same thing with gold. It's sold out and then the price will go up. And then you're going to go, yeah, okay, I guess I can sell mine for $25,000 that I paid $2,000 for. And that's what it'll be, just like the Super Bowl, where all of a sudden the demand will be there and there won't be a supply. There's all sold out of the Super Bowl tickets. There's none. You can't buy them. You got to go secondary. And that's what will happen with gold. You can't buy it. Nobody will have it. And you got to go secondary. And the only reason my store has it is not ordering it. It's people coming in and sell it. They think the 2,100. Well, first of all, they need the money. And the second thing is they think this is a good price. Oh, it's near the all-time high. It's a good time to sell it. It's not going higher than the 2,100. This is their problem. They don't understand. So they think, oh, the 2,100 is fine. It won't go anymore. It doesn't go any higher anyway. And then when it hits 5 and then it hits 10, you're going to see people crying, going, oh, fuck, I sold my gold for $2,000. But that's what happened. But that's the only way the guy gets the gold. And I sit there understanding everything going, yeah, I'll buy. I'll be happy to pay $2,100 for the gold. And that's why you don't care about the premium. You want the ounces. You want the physical. You don't want an ETF or stocks or anything like that. But you want the physical. You have the physical. And now you're fine. Now you've got it. They can't take it away. They can't say it's not worth anything. It's not an attack on Wall Street where the guy has 60,000 in the account. Now it's worth 0. You can't do that with gold and silver. A, because the demand's always there, and B, because there's nobody inflating it, right? So if you can't print it and there's demand, the price can't go down. It just keeps going through the roof, which is why I'm conservative with my $20,000 an ounce now, is because they're not allowing it to go. It would never come down. It would only keep going. Every day it would go up $1,000 if they let it. That's why I come up with 20, because easily you would never have a pullback. People want it. So the people selling it might sell it at 10 grand, but there's more people wanting to buy it than sell it, and they would be buying it. And as the price goes up, nobody's selling it. And there's more people going, oh, fuck, I guess gold's worth it. So this is just a situation of people not having a fucking clue of what reality is. Even in the interview yesterday, which I'm starting to feel really good that there's been 3 of us and he likes me the best. And I know I'm worth 110 and I'm only, he'll get me for 85. Then we'll be happy. And I said, I'll take it. So he knows in the back of his mind, I stoiced him. In the back of his mind, he knows, so Howard will take the job and Howard's a good fit for it and everything else. He answered all my little trick questions on standards and on costing and on accept. So, and he's got a master's that I know in economics. He understands gold. So I'm a tough out right now. I'm like Bobby Bowe with the bases loaded. You ain't getting me out. So when you understand that, so you're dealing with people that don't have a clue. Now it's because they weren't taught it. And look at the boss yesterday. Guys, the CFO had no clue about gold. Well, why? He's smart. Why isn't he asking the question? He's not stoic. He's not asking the question, why is gold 2000? He's assuming it's 2000 because if he's even following it, he doesn't even know that's your out. That's your lifeboat. He doesn't even know that. He doesn't even understand the dollar is going to zero. So, I mean, and this guy's a CFO, okay? Went to U of M. I don't know what the regular guy who works at Costco, he's going to get totally fucked. But even the people working at GM and Ford don't have a fucking clue. I argue with my friend from Ford. I mean, we worked there like 10 years ago, and so we keep in contact. And he doesn't get, have you bought gold and silver yet? No. Well, okay. When the boat sinks and you're still on it, you're going to wish you had some gold and silver. Well, I got to take care of my family. I go, yeah. And you're going to take care of them a lot better with gold and silver than without. I give Jenna gold and silver to protect her. She doesn't understand it yet, but when it blows up, then she's going to get it and go, and if she sold it, I ain't giving her more. I warned her, wait, the price is going up, and I'll give Daria some and protect her. And when it goes up, then they're going to be going, wow, this is worth $20,000. Howard gave me 3 of them. Then they'll finally understand, but they can't afford it anyway. Jenna can't, neither of them could afford gold. Anyway, her friend Natasha wanted gold. I'm telling her, she says, yeah, I believe you. I want to buy it, but I don't have any money. And I said to Jenna, well, if I knew, I would have maybe brought her a 1/4 ounce or something so she could have something when the price goes up. But I said, well, Jenna's got about 2 ounces. Maybe she'll give you some. You're her best friend. So we will see, but people just don't have a clue, and they don't know what they don't know. It's not that they're stupid. It's not that they're not interested in gold. They don't know what they don't know. They don't know, why would I want gold now? They don't even know what the gold standard is. They don't even know what money is. They just think the government prints the money, and I go and I can go to the bar and I can buy cigarettes and I can buy food, and I go to work and they pay me money. They don't have any clue that they can fuck the money into actually having no value. And that's going to be a mess, because I don't know how people are going to get paid. And I don't know how they're going to price things at the grocery store. It's going to be a mess. And even when the BRICS dollar comes out backed by gold, how are they going to price things in China and Russia and all these BRICS countries? This will be interesting. Then if the euro goes to gold back, the dollar can't go to gold back because we don't have gold. Now, does JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs actually have gold? These are bullion banks. I would imagine they do, or at least silver. So do they come out with gold back currency? I don't know. There won't be you cannot have a digital currency if it's not backed by gold, because what's the value? Oh, it's US dollars. Well, US dollars doesn't have a value. So the value of the digital currency would be zero. So who's getting me? Why would anybody take it, or what are you going to do with it? So if the government thinks, well, all the Krogers and Costco, well, they'll take the digital currency for that. Not if it doesn't have a value, because now they got to buy stuff from overseas that's gold-backed currency. So the price of a cow from Argentina is a lot more expensive because it's priced in gold, not in where the US dollar has the edge. Oh, it's like I'm going to Turkey. Well, $1 buys me 30 Turkish liras or whatever. But if they're on gold and we're not, oh, I need $1,000 to buy 1 Turkish lira. Well, when the tables get changed, that's really what's going to happen. So please be careful with that. My screen's still backwards. I turned off, I shut down my computer, I turned it back on. I'm still backwards. So I'm going to try setup when we're done. And I don't know what I did. I didn't touch anything. I did drop my computer a little bit, but I don't know because when I look at things on the screen from Mark McGuire, it looks fine. So I'm not seeing it. Only here, I look fine, except for my right hand should be on this side. That's what it's been. So there must have been a setting change that I got to look into, but I won't do it now. Anyway, so that's what you really need to fully understand. The price of your house goes to zero in dollars, but gets priced in gold. And then there needs to be a market. The market is, if I put this up for sale, does somebody want to buy it? That's your market. Do you want to buy this? So I'll sell it to you for $100. Is there a market for it? Maybe I get $500. Maybe I get $10. Is there a market? Can I sell this to somebody? That's what a market is. That's why electric cars, I wouldn't even buy one because I don't even know if you can resell it. Apparently, if you get a scratch in one, it's $50,000 to repair. So if I did buy a Tesla, spent $100,000, drive it around for how long, I don't know. Let's say I drive it for a year. Can I get anything for it? Well, first of all, the prices are dropping on the cars. I'd rather have a new one than your used one. Plus your battery probably sucks because you've had the car for a year now. So the 300 miles is probably like 50 miles, which is why I'm probably selling it. So I don't even know that you can even sell these Teslas or any of these electric cars. So that's another reason not to get it, because you're going to buy one every 2 or 3 years. Again, the battery's ridiculous. If I want a new computer, so I get the job, maybe I get a new computer with Microsoft instead of this. Don't get Google Chrome. It's ridiculous. But once you get that, then what was I saying? So once you do that, once you figure out your values, so keep in mind you're going to get new values. So everything will go to zero because everything's priced in dollars now. This is worth $100. When the dollar goes out, this doesn't have a value in dollars. That's why I believe your credit card, it's over there. Your credit card, I think, will go get washed off, as will your mortgage. I don't know how else they can do it, because if they come out with a new currency that's not backed by gold, you're not going to be able to buy anything outside of the U.S. because everything will be more expensive. That's really the problem. If everybody goes to a gold-backed currency, and now you're going to buy goods from China, but it's priced in gold-backed currency, and we're sitting there in hyperinflated U.S. dollars. How many U.S. dollars is it going to take to buy the gold-backed currency or buy the bicycle in China or whatever? It's going to be fucking nuts. That's why we have gold. It won't lose its value, or my Mahomes card or my Brady card and stuff like that. So I can go somewhere else and sell it for the gold-backed currency. And that's what I'm advising. If you want to sell your gold, you don't want this. Especially if the gold-backed currency is as close as Mark McGuire is saying, that we're looking at a few months away. You don't want to sell an ounce of gold. Let's say it's $25,000 for the ounce, and get this. You don't want this. You want to get gold-backed currency. So you want to hold on to your gold till at least we got gold-backed currency, and that it's going to be worth whatever in the gold-backed currency. But that'll be worth like 50,000 US. I don't know what the fuck is going to happen in the US, but I don't know. You go to the grocery store. How are they going to price anything? It's going to be silver dimes and silver quarters and silver halves and a silver dollar to buy eggs and milk and tuna and pop and everything. So be careful there. But the last thing you want to do is sell your $20,000 ounce of gold or your $2,000 or $3,000 ounce of silver for this shit. You don't want this. You're getting away from it. That's what you're doing now. And now you can see it's coming into focus. Oh shit, they're coming out with gold-backed currency. Here it is. More countries are joining BRICS. Everybody wants to de-dollarize, get out of the dollar. So your only hope is the more gold you have, now you can play with the rest of the world because they're all going to gold-backed currency because nobody trusts the Russians or the Chinese or any of the other countries, but we all trust gold, and that's the beauty of it. So you're preparing yourself for that, and the more dollars you hold, as the value goes to zero, how are you going to buy anything? That's what they're not really telling you. So if I want to buy groceries, I better go buy a shitload of silver. And even though I don't have the dimes and quarters and halves, I'll take the silver dollar and they'll have silver nickels, dimes, quarters, and halves to give me change. Oh, okay. I'm still going to need to eat. And I don't buy that they're going to kill all the food because what's McDonald's going to sell? They're going to want to sell hamburgers, so they're going to protect the cows for themselves if McDonald's doesn't have their own farm. And my barbecue place, and my Chinese place, and Costco, and all these stores, Sam's Club. What do you think? They're all going to go out of business and just that's it? So you're going to need the gold to buy money to buy that stuff. That's really, I think, what they're not telling you. So you believe that, well, I got $300,000, I'll buy it, but there won't be a dollar. You're going to need gold to buy it. And that's where we come in. And that's why when you guys say, how much should I get? The more I'm thinking and the more I'm learning and the more I'm understanding, whatever you have isn't enough. Luke's got a lot of silver. Bobby you need more silver and gold for sure. Because not only are you going to take care of yourself, you have to take care of your family. Where are you going to get more gold? So if you spend silver at the grocery store, how are you going to replenish it? You're going to work. Okay, is there going to be an economy? You need money to make an economy. What do I say? Right? So let's go to the economy. My favorite topic, the Roman Empire. Where is my thing? I don't know. I'll find it when I end. I've got it where I've got all like they're number one. All the number ones did this to be number one. Oh fuck. Okay. So the 5 things, and I'm going to write it here because I keep looking for this. Strong country. 5 things. Number 1, lower taxes. Number 2, lower government spending to budget. So if you budget $1 million, that's all you can spend. Gold standard. And free trade. And a constitution. Or a rule book for laws. So you have laws that are in the Constitution. This is how you run it. So we keep getting off of the free trade and the gold standard and lowering taxes. So we keep fucking around with that. So with what's happening, as they go back to gold, so what are we going to happen here, right? You go to Kroger's, I mean, you need all this. You need the gold standard. So how are we going to switch? Well, we got to go back to the Constitution, and we need the free trade and the lower taxes, and the government spending should be clear. And we're not doing any of them. But what they don't realize is the money. You have to have money to have a country, to have a government, which you don't have. When you inflate it, you're fucked. Everything will be so expensive, you won't be able to afford anything. And the government can't help you if the money's worthless. So again, you don't want to sell your gold for this because this won't have a value. And that's why you do buy this as an alternative, but you still want gold. But this will be a real asset. And again, this will go to zero and then get valued in gold. So I think we were talking about your credit cards. So your credit cards are now worthless. The CBDCs, what are you going to sell? You can't sell dollars if they're not backed by gold. They have no value. So you owe $5,000 on your credit card, but there's no more dollars. So what do you owe? Zero. Now, do they calculate it now with gold? But we don't have gold. What's going to be our new currency? Well, it better be some gold standard, but nobody has gold. The Fed does not have gold to do it. JP Morgan does, but are they going to come out with a gold standard? What's their benefit? Their benefit is to get as much. This is weird. Everything's backwards. This is on my left side, but I'm hitting it on the right side. So you've got to realize your house will be worthless till it gets valued in gold. So therefore, your mortgage is basically worth nothing until you get valued in gold. What can your mortgage be worth? So this is really the problem. And I don't know the solution. I don't even know if there'll be banks, because the banks will be worthless, because the money they have in them will be worthless. So this is a very, very strange thing that's going to happen. We'll be back to the dark ages, like the Roman Empire. When the Roman Empire went out because they took the gold and silver out of their coins, it started this, dark ages, right? And until they came up with the University of Somalia, which said, oh, no, we'll get money. We'll get back to this, free trade and gold standard and, it's division of labor and your skill, build a skill set and have a city. So once you have to do all that. So the gold will always look at the gold still worth something, right? From the Roman Empire, if this is Caesar's, I would love it. But this probably from the Roman Empire, they just melt it down and do something else with it. That's all they do. So your credit card goes to zero because you don't have money to pay it because there is no money. So therefore, you really don't owe it. So how do they come out and say, well, what's our new money? What's this? What are these idiots going to come out with new money that they're going to print? And does anybody trust them that you just fucked up the currency? Now what are you going to do? Do people understand that? Well, let's just print new money. Well, you can't, because it's got to be backed by gold, or it won't. Or in 6 months, it'll be worthless. So you have to understand that, but you got to be very careful with your gold. So let's look at money heist, the first one, right? They go and they print all the euros, and then they have to go out to international waters to be safe. And then they have to go to these small little islands and pay off so they aren't found out. So you need the plan after the fact. All right, we stole the money, now what? And here you have your goal, so you have to figure out now what. And you get out of the dollars, but you don't want to turn in your gold for more dollars. And then how do we run an economy without these dollars? These dollars will be worthless. Now what do you do? And this is the very, very big thought, is what do I do with that? And it's a good question. I really, the only thing you do is like they did in Roman times, right? They blew out the dollar, and then it came back where there was gold-backed currency in Amsterdam in 1400 or something. So you went, a couple, like 700-800 years with no currency, and then you finally invented the dollar. And then, okay, now the economy can work. So your goal is to keep the economy working. However, most of the world will be on BRICS-backed gold currency. Their economies will be fine. They'll be strong. There'll be no wars, because you can't really, where are you going to get the money for it? And you don't need it. If you have gold, you don't need it. Maybe you have a war to get more gold like Hitler did, but I don't know. So that's really what you're looking at. Is don't sell your gold for this crap dollars, because nothing will be valued in it. So you'll waste your gold. Well, it's worth $20,000, and you trade it in, you get $20,000. Then you find out that $20,000 aren't worth anything. A week later, sorry, the dollars are out. We'll come out with these new dollars. So you don't want to. You want to go to somewhere in BRICS world and sell your gold for BRICS gold-backed currency. The problem is, how's that going to shake out? Are we going to use gold-backed currency here? Can we even get it? We're fucking everybody over with these sanctions. Are they going to let us have gold-backed currency? Now we might have to go, like I said, to Europe. Now you can travel to where it is allowed, and we'll have gold and silver, and then we can just trade it in, sell it for that. We'll be fine. Here's the economy. It's fine. But that's what'll happen. So you must realize your house will be worthless in dollars. So you got to realize the concept is the value in dollars goes to zero, and then the value in gold is how you'll value your house and your car and everything. So don't get too worried that if the dollar goes out, my house is worthless. It is until gold comes. So in the 1920s in Germany, what happened? The mark went out. So the guy's house was worthless, but then people would come in with gold and buy the house with 1 or 2 ounces. And now, so you had to wait for the house to get value in gold. It'll have value. An asset's an asset, an asset. This will have value. It's Mahomes 50 count. It'll always have value. We just got to wait for the market to come along or find where we can sell it. Somebody will want a 50 count Mahomes card, and that's the thing. Now, you got a lot of rich athletes that are going to get fucked, and these movie stars and Warren Buffett and our favorite Bill Gates. They're all going to get fucked unless they're smart. Now, there's no excuse for them. They should be buying silver and gold. They should know it. But their financial planners are not putting them in gold and silver. They're going to put them in stocks. Guarantee it. So I think Gates has some silver. I think Warren Buffett has a little bit of silver, but I don't think either of them have gold. They don't see the use of gold, they don't see it as money. They see it as, well, you don't really use gold to build anything. It's not in electric cars or batteries or any of that. So they don't have gold because they don't see the value in it. They don't understand it's money. And we're not going to tell them. They can go fuck themselves, the elitist who know better than we do. You know better than me, then I'm not going to tell you. Anyway, that's what's coming. So just keep that in mind. Your house will get a new value in gold, but it's going to be scary if you don't realize that all your assets are worthless in dollars is the key. You must understand that there is no more dollar. Your asset has no value in dollars. This is what these morons talk about with deflation. Your Reicherts and your Rick Rudes and those people, all these communists, they sit there and they go, oh, deflation, all the values are going down because the dollar's going down. Yes, things priced in dollars will go down, but then they will get priced in gold and they'll have a gold value. And it'll be, so if you got a $500,000 house, all of a sudden it's worthless. All of a sudden it's now worth 3 ounces of gold, which, by the way, gold's now 200,000 an ounce. But since there's no dollar, we don't value gold in dollars. We value gold in gold. So now 3 ounces of gold buys a nice house. The guy sells it and does handstands because he's got gold now. And now he needs a new house, but he's got money for that. Maybe he can buy a house for 2 ounces of gold and keep the other ounce of gold. But it won't be valued anymore in dollars. So understand that's what will happen. And you'll be fine. But that's why you go buy as much gold and silver as you can. Don't fuck around. Anything you can to even buy 4 ounces of silver, go buy it. Now, more on here on Mark McGuire's show, who didn't know anything, who kept that, oh, Mark, you know more than I do. You know more than I do. You know more than I do. So what are you doing on the show? What's the point of having the guy on the show? But he's sitting there saying how he thinks. So they came to the conclusion that it's like 10 ounces of silver to buy 1 ounce of gold out of the ground. So that's what it should be. So when you go buy your 20-ounce container of silver, figure you just bought 2 ounces of gold because it should be 1/10, but you don't want to trade it now because it's at 90 to 1. So we're sitting there buying it, waiting for it to go to 10 to 1 or even 20 to 1. Then I can take 20 ounces of silver to buy 1 ounce of gold. So that's what you want to do. It's going to be a strange economy because you're going to have to get paid in gold-backed currency. There's no point in getting paid in dollars. So I would assume a lot of people would be leaving America because we don't have gold to come out with a gold-backed currency. We'll see if we do. With these morons in charge, I wouldn't count on it. So it's Russia, China, or BRICS, or we're going to Brazil, or maybe we go to maybe the Eurozone comes out with gold-backed currency. We can go to Europe. I don't know what the Swiss are going to do. I would think they'd come out with a gold-backed currency, but you'd think they'd be sharp and not get into this rut. Anyway, so please be careful. Please understand, just as I analyzed the Super Bowl, I'm analyzing the gold, the money. We have to have money to buy services and goods. That's Say's law. Say's law, you produce goods and services to get to get money. You get money to buy. You produce goods to get money to buy other goods. So you go to work as an accountant, and you get paid, and then you go eat with the money they gave you. So this is where it's going to get. We can't keep using U.S. dollars. Well, what'll probably happen is the U.S. dollar valueless, right? So as it's going down, you want to go travel to Europe, you're not going to be able to. You won't have enough money. Hey, Greg and John. You won't have enough money. Now what the fuck are you going to do? And that's why you'll need to work where you get paid in gold. How are you going to go? So you go work at a company, are they going to pay you in gold? Well, they pay you in dollars. Well, they're not worth anything. So let's say you make $100,000. It's nothing. You're not making anything with any value. And so this is the problem. So I can go work in Europe and get paid in gold-backed currency. Yeah, goodbye. So you have to be smart enough to go where the money is. When civilization started, like in Egypt, everybody lived off the Nile because that's where the water source was. So you moved to the water because then you could drink and cook and whatever. And that was it. Taylor Swift made $1 billion on her tour. Okay, so it's nice if she can. How much goes to Kelsey? That's the sad part, right? Kelsey does a lot harder work and probably makes $5 million a year, and Taylor Swift makes $1 billion. Why do people pay to go see somebody sing a song? I can't figure that out. But again, it's dollars. So is she smart enough to buy gold with her $1 billion? Well, she got to pay taxes on it. Is she smart enough to do that? My guess is no, and she'll be broke because $1 billion of worthless dollars is zero. And this is what all these people like the Taylor Swift and Sly Stallone and Warren Buffett don't understand. If I got a lot of money does not equal any value if it's worth zero. But they're too pig-headed to understand. They think they have $1 billion, that they're fine, that they're bulletproof. That's the problem. They don't understand. Just because you have $1 billion, if the dollar goes to zero, you got nothing. I got $1 billion. I'm wallpapering my house with 50s. Tracks New York City is a cool gold store in New York City. They are on YouTube. What's so cool about them? So why are you saying that? What's the big deal about them? So bring that to the table, Greg, John. Say it's cool because they do this. Whatever it is that makes them cool is what we want to know. I don't really give a shit about a store in New York City selling gold. I go to my store 3 miles away and buy my gold and silver. So I don't really care unless there's something you can bring you can add value to the class that tells us what's so special about it. They're on YouTube. Okay, so am I. Maybe their camera's right. My camera's backwards. They stream live and you can buy online. And what's their price? And what's their shipping? And do they charge tax? All the normal stuff that they try to scam you with. So why would you want to buy from them? I would just go to my store in my neighborhood and buy from them if I can find one. Alabama had they had 2 stores. One guy only had if somebody sold to him, and the other guy didn't, even if somebody sold to him, wouldn't sell to you. So he says, oh, I just buy the gold and silver. I don't sell it. And okay, whatever. So you're enthralled because they stream. It's a cool gold store because they stream live. Don't I stream live? I'm not a store, but I'm much better. And you can buy online. Well, mine's free, so it's even better. I told the guy in the interview I teach economics and I don't charge because it's important. Everybody knows. Hopefully that nails the hammer home. They give away silver and gold sometimes. Why would they do that? So are you watching because you want them to give you free gold and silver? I'll pay for mine as long as it's authentic. I'm sure they're not giving away a lot of gold, maybe a quarter ounce, which is $500, but I don't need them, so I don't care about them, and I don't want them, and I don't want to get scammed. So that's the problem, Greg and John. And especially being in New York, giving away free gold sends red flags all over the place. That's a problem, I guarantee it. So I went to get pita bread, and they didn't have my pita bread. And then I looked at the other pita breads they had, and the carbs. Be careful if you're getting pita bread. You shouldn't eat a lot of bread anyway, but be careful. It was like wheat pita bread, and the carbs were like, oh, it's 17 grams, but that was for half of one, not the full slice. I'm like, fuck. But you got to be careful with that because the carbs are not good for you. And even though it's pita bread, it is carbs, and I eat too much of it because I'll go through it. There's only 8, which is good. And then, like now, I'll go to the store they didn't have yesterday, so I'll have to find another store to get them at. But yeah, you must be careful. Even this guy giving it away, be careful. Is it authentic? Is there a charge for shipping and tax? If there is, run fast the other way. Nothing is for nothing, right? The hair on the back of your neck should be going up if they're giving away gold and silver, because nobody gives away gold and silver. I mean, unless they're giving 1 ounce of silver away or 1/10 of an ounce of gold. They're not. They're not just giving. It's too expensive to just give away, so be careful with it. You shouldn't pay tax, and you shouldn't pay shipping. So anyway, so why does it bother you that Taylor Swift made $1 billion? Who gives a shit? That's her business. She sings. They pay her that much. No wonder she sings. No wonder she's at the Chief games, jumping up and down. Look, I like football, and who knows if she does or doesn't. Who knows if she's actually dating Kelsey. I think she's way out of his league, that's for sure. I could see her dating Mahomes, but not Kelsey. Who's Kelsey? So I don't know. But anyway, so that's what's going on. So be very careful when you do sell your gold. Again, they're going to have to reprice everything, and whatever this new currency is. How long will our currency will go until there's no demand? And once they come out with a gold-backed currency and they de-dollarize, and now everything's in, now there's no demand for your currency, the currency's over. So don't be stupid and think, well, the currency's not going anywhere. It'll always have a value. There is no value on this. This is not worth anything. It says a 1 on it, so you can go to the store and get stuff, but there is no value on this. This does not have a value. So remember that, right? It really doesn't. It's only the value if somebody thinks it's worth something. But I mean, it's the same thing with this. This only has a value because I could put it on eBay unless I get $1,000 for it. That somebody's valued this, but if nobody does, this has no value. But that's why I buy Mahomes as opposed to Lamar. I mean, how much value can Lamar's car have? Nothing. Do you think Joe Gibbs was a good coach? Yeah, well, he won a couple Super Bowls, so yeah, he must have been. He also was like a race car driver or something. Where's that coming from, Greg and John? Joe Gibbs? Hey, Luke. They smashed gold again today. Luke. Hey. No, the gold was It's down $15 at 2039. It's immaterial. Not being smashed. It's derivatives. You know that. It's all derivative. It's all down by derivatives, not it's synthetic, as Mark McGuire said today. It's all synthetic. It's not real gold price. The demand is huge. So it's all disconnected, right? All the central banks are buying gold. Why would the price go down if the demand is huge? So just understand that. Don't worry about it. Soon the de-dollarization will begin, and the Chinese, and they're already coming out with gold back very soon, and the Russians gold back currency, gold back bricks. As soon as that happens, and Katie bar the door on COMEX, it'll be gone, and we'll finally get the paper, the physical price we've been waiting for, and it'll be much higher than you won't see 2,000 anymore. It'll go to, they say 3, but once it hits 3, it hits 5, it hits 10, and that's where it's at. So yeah, well, we know they're all crooks. They have to be. I started to broker concert tickets to make an extra buck. Hopefully that's true supply. Well, I'm surprised you didn't buy Super Bowl tickets. I see they're going for $12,000 for seats that I guarantee it didn't cost $12,000. But the question is, who has the initial tickets? Do they even go to the public, or does the mafia grab them all? So they just print them to the mafia, and they then go secondary market. So the mafia pays $500 a seat and sells them for $10,000 a seat, which is my guess. You probably can't even get the initial seats, right? So yeah, I used to know people that would broker the concert tickets. Yeah, you should. I would get into football, like the Rose Bowl, the Super Bowl, things like. If you would have got to the Alabama Michigan game, you'd have made a nice penny, or the Michigan Washington game, or the Frisco Detroit game, the Detroit game here against Tampa. You would have retired on that game, because Detroit hadn't been to the playoffs in 150 years. And the Super Bowl, you got a great game, KC Frisco. You could have made a fortune. So if you could find some, but I doubt now you're going to find any that are, it's just secondary market. And maybe you could buy them for 10 grand and sell them for 15 next week, but be careful with that. The only way to do it for concerts is to get the pre-sale, provided there's a market for it. You're going to get a concert. It seems like you should get the Taylor Swift concert. She made $1 billion on her tour. You have to get it. Yes, it is supply and demand, which is exactly like this. This is pure supply and demand. That's why you want baseball cards. It's not fucked around. Gold's fucked around, but it's about to blow up, and then we'll all be real happy. But yeah, what you're doing with the tickets is perfectly supply and demand, as what I just pointed out. It's what will the market bear. And so I don't know if you sell them on HubStub or you sell them on eBay, or what you do to sell them, and then can you put the price down? So you got 2 tickets for the Super Bowl. How do you determine the price? Do you just put down $25,000 and people will pay it? Do they say, I'll give you $20,000? Exactly how does that work? But on eBay, it's a lot easier. You just put in, you put a high, you look at the sold section, and then you put in a buy it now for a few thousand less. So let's say it was, the only way to do it. So let's say you were doing some, Taylor Swift concert that's been sold out. And then you go and see what the other people are buying them for, and then that's your price right there. Gregor John, how much is that Mahomes rookie worth? I don't think it's a rookie card. It's a 2020. I think he was in his rookie cards 2019. Not sure. This is probably, my guess is about 5,000 because there's only 50 of them. Especially if he wins the Super Bowl, that card goes and doubles. If he loses, it's not, I wouldn't try to, like, if I want to sell it, I got to sell it now on the if come that he wins the Super Bowl. But if they win, then I just sit back and go, okay, how much am I going to make? And if they lose, obviously, then you're buying Brock Purdy cards or McCafferty or something. So, yeah, keep that in your mind. If it's the more market you create. So he wins the Super Bowl, the market increases for Mahomes. Now he's won 3 Super Bowls, and is he the MVP? More than likely. So all of a sudden he's moving into Brady territory and Jordan territory. So yeah, I would buy. I would wait on selling it, but only buy if you think he's going to lose. But then you don't really want it. So if you think he's going to win, you might buy it now. But after they win, I would wait a month before I bought any Mahomes, because the price will be, that's when you want to sell it. So forget the concert tickets. You buy a Mahomes card, he wins, and you make a fortune. He loses, not so much. So that's the crazy part about it. But I only paid $50 for this card, so I'm happy. I don't know what it's worth. I can check on eBay, but I don't really care. I don't pay attention. Unfortunately, for Bobby, I got the Barry Bonds card, red label. Beautiful card. And it's got the red on it. Normally it's black, and then it's numbered out of 100. 99 out of 100. And it's Barry. That's the only problem, is the market got killed because he did steroids. This card should be worth $10,000, but it's probably worth $500 because the fucker did steroids, and everybody seems to have a big problem with that, even though it doesn't help you hit, because it doesn't help your hand-eye coordination. So it's insane. Yeah, I got a text from my recruiter. So a recruiter calls me and said, hey, there's this job opening. Are you interested? And I go, yeah. She gives me the description. And then I went and interviewed yesterday. And I asked the guy, I told him I'm interested. When are you making your decision? He said, well, in a week or two. So then I called the recruiter, and she said, I'm surprised by that. And then she talked to somebody at the company today to follow up. And there's been 3 people, and I think me and 2 others, or me and 3 others, and I was the favorite in the clubhouse. So HR told my recruiter that he liked me the best so far, and he's only got one more interview on Monday. So I should know Monday evening or Tuesday at the latest if it's a yay or a nay. Hopefully, if he just takes the best candidate, then hopefully I get it. If it becomes one of these minority issue things, then maybe I don't get it if it's a minority. But otherwise, if he just wants the best person, which is what I think, then I have a really good chance. So I should know Monday or Tuesday. And then we have to negotiate, because it's a lower paying job than I'm used to. And I'm trying to push for a little bit more. We'll go. Oh, thank you, Gregor John. Yeah, but I'm stoic. I'm stoic in the interview. You listen to him. You answered the question. He asked me, what do I do on my off time? I go, I teach economics. I play poker. I walk the lake, and I go swimming. And direct answer to the direct question. You don't bring up any illegal crap, which I don't do anyway, but all that. And he's going, oh, that's good. He's, and he asked Excel examples, can you do a pivot table? How would you do this? And I just nailed it. How would you calculate a cost? And I says, well, you look at material, labor, and overhead, piece of cake. So I was able to answer everything, but you listen and you answer directly. You stay stoic, and they like that. They go, good, I can ask him. I can communicate. He can communicate with me. That's really what they're asking. And then when he asks something like, what was the worst job you had? He wants to see if you lie or not. So he's really not caring about the answer. He just wants to know that you'll tell the truth. Because something like that you don't really want to say, but I was able to say I didn't like it. Bad communication. So now he knows if he hires me, he needs to communicate with me, and I'll do great. If he doesn't communicate, I won't know what the hell he wants to do. So it was a perfect answer, and he liked it. So I'll know maybe Monday, maybe Tuesday. My gut says that I did really good, and I'm hoping to get it. I don't want to jinx myself, so I don't say that. It's like football. I don't say I won until there's like 2 minutes left and I'm up 30. Like the Niner game. Well, that was different. I had the over in the game, so once it hit over, it was over. But the Kansas City game last week when I got 10 points and they're winning 17-7, but it's the third quarter. It's not a winner. Till I got in the middle of the fourth quarter and Lamar threw another interception, and now it's intercepted and I got the ball and there's like 5 minutes left. Now it's a winner. Now I got it because I've seen too much shit happen that you don't have it. But that's where I'm at, Luke, Greg or John. Thank you for asking. But yeah, it's a go. Daria, I heard from her. I was so happy. And I think she's starting to realize it. Like, I'm not a Russian guy, and I care for her, and I need her to tell me what the fuck's going on. I says, you can tell me anything. I'm not leaving because you say you smoke or you drink or, whatever it is you do. Like, she didn't want to tell me she had a fight with her boss and she quit. She probably didn't want to tell me that. That's why I didn't hear from her for 3 days. She was having problems at work. She was really mad. I says, but I'll walk you through that. I'm on your side. So a lot of the stuff she doesn't want me to leave, so she doesn't want to tell me. And but now she's starting to figure out, you better tell me or I'm going to lose my mind going, where the fuck are you for 3 days that you can't respond to it? You can't just text me, right? It's WhatsApp. So anyway, so I'm happy with that, which made me good. Because I heard from her Thursday before the interview, and then I was good in the interview. And the best part about the job, if I get it, it's only a mile and a half away from the gold store. So on the way home, I could stop for gold and silver. I'll have a paycheck, so I could check in on them. So I did. I bought the 10 ounces of silver after the interview. I felt really good. Just the fact I finally had an interview. I've been getting fucked over because people will call me. Are you interested? I go, yeah, okay, the CFO will contact you next week for an interview, and then you never get the follow-up. And I know it's because of the inflation and the recession. And we'll go from there. But I'm glad he liked me because I started bringing up gold, and he still, is positive. I can save the company by having him buy gold. And getting the gold-backed currency from Russia. So now we won't be in U.S. dollars anymore. We'll be the only U.S. company with BRICS gold-backed currency. And we'll be the only company here that don't be making any money. So anyway, that's what it is. So again, Mark McGuire's guess was really stupid. Egon is supposed to be doing it weekly. I'll look for Egon stuff in a little bit. And then I got to figure out how to change my screen around. All of a sudden, this is right, should be on the other side because I usually do this, right? And now it's reversed and I'm all screwed up. So I got to figure out how my camera turned around, and now I'm getting the left. This is the left side, should be the right side. But when I watch a movie, it seems to be okay. So it's only when I'm doing this. So what did I change? I didn't change anything in my settings, so I got to figure it out. Anyway, I'll be busy doing that. I have turned off the computer and came back on, hoping that would fix it. No football this weekend. This is when it gets tough. And then you get the Super Bowl, and then when it ends, you're like, now what do we do, right? No more football. And I love how they're coming out with the USFL and the other league, and they're merging it, and The Rock's there, going to lay the smackdown on everybody to watch the USFL, US World League or whatever. And it's like, who gives a fuck? I mean, well, I guess people are so desperate they'll bet on that, but I won't be. But if you do bet on it, take the defense. The team with the best defense wins. That's the bottom line. It always, because they could stop the other team. And as you saw, the Lions with the bad defense couldn't stop the Niners. The Niners stopped the Lions the whole second half, right? It's 24-7. The Niners get 2 4th down stops and a fumble. That's 3 turnovers they got. You've got to be a real idiot to try to get 4th downs on San Francisco, Kansas City, Baltimore, Dallas. You got to be out of your fucking mind to try to go for it on 4th down against them. So this whole analytic thing, all these idiot coaches that don't know what they're doing that are running to it are all getting fired. The San Diego guy, the Jacksonville guy, a couple of years ago kept going for 2 and losing and got fired. The real coaches, you saw Harbaugh in the Alabama game. They're down, they're down 17-10 or 20-13. And Michigan scored at the end to tie it at 20 to go to overtime. He didn't go for 2. This is against Alabama. We're not making a 2-point conversion. He at least understood that, and he kicked the extra point. That's what a good coach does. He ties the game. We go to overtime. He doesn't go for 4th down very, very rarely. And only if you're down and the clock's running out and I have to get the 4th down. But if you're down a field goal and you're in field goal range and it's 4th down and you don't kick the field goal, you shouldn't be coaching. You don't understand the game. You don't understand the concepts. You have no football knowledge. And this Lions coach should not be coached. He's a rah-rah guy, so people like him. The Lions beat a weak schedule. The schedule sucked. They didn't beat any good teams. So he doesn't beat any good teams. He gets into the playoffs. He gets lucky against the Rams, and then he gets lucky that Dallas loses. He gets Tampa. So the Tampa game was a joke, which still was close. And then he goes to the Niners, but he blew that game. Again, the point is you play to win. You don't play to be aggressive. Sorry, doesn't work that way. Harbaugh, what did he do against Alabama? Kick the extra point. That's what you do. You don't fuck around and go for 4th down because analytics says 51% of the time against every team and every situation it works. Like, that's a big deal. I wouldn't bet a football game if I only had a 51% edge on it. I'm betting Kansas City as a dog is probably like a 90% trend. Okay, I'll bet it. Now, if it was only 51%, I don't bet any games at 51%. That's just, you're asking to lose there. Lucas, that seemed rigged to me. Should have made it a 3-possession game. I'm talking about the second 4th down when it was 27-24 the Niners and the Lions were at the 30, kick your field goal and tie the game up. That's what I'm talking. Yeah, the first one was even stupider because, I mean, I was watching some video today on YouTube and it was breaking it down better by showing them the different defenses and everything. And, and Bosa blew up the play or Chase Young blew, they got in, and we know Goff is not very good under pressure. That's why he chokes. And he missed the Reynolds. He threw it on the wrong side of him on that first one. But he's not understanding. In other words, I bring up poker. If you make a big bet on me, yeah, I can be aggressive and call it. But if I lose, it's not a good call. Even if I'm aggressive, or I could do it the other way where I make a big bet. I make the $200 bet and you call it. And I lose. I was aggressive, but it was a stupid bet because the guy had a full house and I lost. It's about winning and losing. It's not about that I'm aggressive to make the bet. And if the guy knows I'm aggressive to make the bet, he's going to play me. He's going to check me. I make the bet. I got a full house, but I'm not going to show you. I'm going to check. You're going to make this big bet because you're aggressive. I'm going to pull over the aces full, and you're going to get killed. So, but I'm aggressive. Yeah, but I lost all my money. And that's the bottom line with the Lions. They got aggressive, but the bottom line is they lost. So are you a good coach because you're aggressive? No, you beat a bunch of bad teams. You got into the playoffs. Okay, I give you credit for the Rams. I don't give you credit for Tampa. They weren't good. And then you played the Niners. You played a good team finally and lost. You played Baltimore. You lost. You lost to Seattle. And you lost to the Bears and the Packers. And then you lost to Dallas because you're too stupid to call the right number, which wouldn't have worked anyway. I really am getting sick of that whole number thing. Okay. The ref is going to tell Green or Dallas what number is eligible. So it doesn't matter. Even if the ref screws up, it's up to the player to go to the ref and say, look, I'm number 68, not number 70. Then he would have went to the Packers and said 68's eligible, and they would have guarded him. Why would you guard an offensive lineman if he's not eligible? So you can't blame the ref. You got to blame the Lions because the guy with the number 68 and number 68 wouldn't have caught the pass because they would have covered him because the ref would have said number 68. Anyway, so the Lions lose to Dallas, who really isn't that good of a team. Philadelphia caved in. So there's only a few good teams in the league anyway. So the Lions are beating a bunch. It's a bad league, and the Lions are beating a lot of, bad teams. Okay, fine. Next year, they're going to be lucky to win 5 games because they're going to have the real hard schedule. Oh, you got to play Buffalo and Kansas City and Philadelphia and Dallas and Miami and, you get Kansas City. So they're going to have a tough road next year. That's why I'm saying they did good against a very weak schedule, and the Packers will be better. The Bears, I don't know. I heard something. I couldn't believe what I heard. So if somebody said, well, if they trade Fields from Chicago to Oakland will be much better. They'll be a playoff contender. I'm like, have you seen Fields play? If that was the case, then why would the Bears trade him? If he's that good of a quarterback, why hasn't he shown it in the 2 years he's been playing? He's not very good. He likes to run a lot. He's in the Lamar book. But why would Oakland all of a sudden be good? If the Bears aren't good with them, why would Oakland be good with them? So I don't understand that at all. And if I'm Oakland, why would I take him? Aren't I one of the top 5 or 6 picks in the draft, and I could get maybe Bo Nix or Penix or Hartman? I mean, why would I want Fields? He's not better than those guys. Daniels, Drake May. I'm hearing, it'll be Caleb first, and then either Daniels from LSU or Drake May. Who the fuck wants Drake May? Can somebody explain that to me? It's the same thing as Pickett and Daniel Jones on the Giants and Mac Jones on New England. It's the same pick. You're picking. You might as well, if that's your pick, then, in 3 years, you'll be picking another quarterback. You'll have wasted 3 years of your team. You'll lose. You won't win with the guy. So I don't understand this Drake May from North Carolina. What the fuck are you? Who did they beat? They didn't beat anybody. He was 28 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. Hardly somebody I want with the number 2 or 3 pick in the draft. How about Bo Nix or Penix? Why would I go to Drake May? And why is Caleb the first pick when Joe Smith plays in the Rose Bowl and USC puts up 6 touchdowns on Louisville with some guy I never heard of before? What the fuck is that? So is it really Caleb or the system? As we know, the Oklahoma coach has that system that apparently makes everybody a brilliant quarterback in college until they get into the pros. No, I don't think it was rigged, Luke, that he didn't go for the field goal. I think it's just stupidity. I didn't think it was right because he did it again to tie the game. How you don't tie the game, I don't understand. But anyway, that's the thing with the draft. Why would you want Fields when you can get these other guys? Where's Oakland's draft picks? I mean, they have nobody. O'Connell, if you're leaving on O'Connell from Purdue, you're out of your fucking mind. He sucks. But who would want Fields? If I had Steve Young at Carolina, who would want him? And Carolina's fucked because he was the number one pick of the draft. So they're going to have to stay with him. I mean, it's insane. So Carolina's totally fucked because they got to stay with Steve Young, who just blows. Raiders should go Bo Nix. They have the 13th pick. Well, he won't be around in the 13th pick. Bo Nix will be gone. You've got to trade up for him. I mean, he should do the top 5 should be Daniels and Caleb, not in any order, and Hartman and Nix and Penix. Those are your top 5 quarterbacks. I doubt that they're going to fall to 13, but is their quarterbacks, the Tulane quarterback's pretty good. Like last year, like Hooker went in the 3rd round, and Jake Hayner from Fresno is a great quarterback. Went to New Orleans in like the 5th round. And then Stenson Benson from Georgia went in the 5th round. Unfortunately, LA still got Stafford for a few years. So poor Stenson can't get in. I don't know what happened to him because that last game of the year, they went to Carson Wentz. So I think Stenson Benson must have got injured or something. He was out the whole year, which is weird. I'm not sure if that was on purpose or by accident. I think it was on purpose he didn't play. But he's a good one. So I think that Hooker on the Lions is much better than Goff and should be the quarterback, but the Lions will be too stupid to do it. And they're trying to re-sign Goff, which doesn't make any sense. He's not good. And now you got to pay some big money for an average player. I don't understand it. I'd get rid of him, bring in Hooker, and then keep your money for other players that you need. I mean, you got an offensive line you got to re-sign. You've got these running backs. They don't really have much on defense. The receivers, St. Clair, you're going to have to re-sign. Where are you going to get the money for? You're putting it into Goff? Goff is not good. We know that. That's why the Rams gave up on him, and he's still not good. He choked in the Dallas game. He threw that interception with 2 minutes left, and then he choked at the second half against the Rams. They were leading 21-17, and that was it. And they scored a field goal, and then the same thing here. You got him 24-7. Where did he go in the second half? Went for it on 4th, wasn't close. He fucked the handoff, and the guy fumbled, and then he goes for it on 4th down, doesn't read the blitz, has to throw an off-balance pass. They don't get it. They lose the game. They don't score. The second half, again, he's choking. So that's the problem with it. Now, Hooker we saw beat Alabama. I don't know what else you need to see. Anybody that beats Alabama anytime should be there. So that's what I look at. Hooker beat Alabama 50-49. He's my quarterback. As long as his knee's ready to go. Yeah, the Raiders should move off for quarterback, not mess around with Fields. Well, you know what you got in Fields, and you knew what you had before. He sucks. Houston's getting played thinking that they have something in C.J. Stroud. We saw what he did against Baltimore. The problem is there's so many bad teams in the league that these guys look better than they are. Lamar, MVP. Well, yeah, what did he get a first down against Kansas City? He got that first drive, and that was it. 5-6 minutes into the game, it's 7-7, and you never heard from Mahomes again. Or from Lamar again. So, what do you have? I mean, imagine being Carolina and you fucked up the first pick for Steve Young. And now what do? Now you got the 4th or 5th pick, you should be taking Bo Nix or Penix, and you're not going to take him because you got Steve Young here, who's not anywhere near as good as Bo Nix and Penix. So I don't know what to say. It's just fucking ridiculous that they do that. But they're stuck. They're not smart enough to understand. Like CJ Stroud, you're stuck with him. Oh, he's good. Yeah, where was he against Baltimore? Oh, yeah, 27. What was the score? Houston, Baltimore, 34-10. And 7 of the 10 came on a punt return. So they lost 34-3. Where was Stroud? That's the point. Those are the games you need him. Those are the games you need Lamar. Where was he? They scored 10 points on Kansas City. Mahomes shows up. Burrow shows up. Where's Mahomes? Even Purdy's showing up. Although he shouldn't be down. It's like the Niners are just sleeping through the first half. They're not taking the game seriously. You watch in the Super Bowl, it's Mahomes. I guarantee you they did not go down 20-3 at halftime like they did against the Packers and the Lions. It'll be 7-7 at halftime because they're not gonna fall apart early in the game. But Pat Mahomes went 10th pick and Trubisky was taken over him. That's how much these teams know. Mahomes didn't go. Did he go in the 10th pick? I thought he went a little later. Oh, that was Lamar. Well, in all defense, Mahomes, he played at Texas Tech, so you really didn't know what he was because everybody at Texas Tech threw for 40 touchdowns and 5 interceptions and 400 yards a game. So he did, because he was at Texas Tech, show up as a really strong quarterback. If you do listen to my draft analysis, I don't think I even mentioned the guy. But definitely didn't like Trubisky. If you listen to the same draft pick, you hear me bitching about they took Trubisky. That was a joke. But, yeah, I mean, why would you take this Drake May from North Carolina when you can have Hartman and Bo Nix and Panic? They're winners, right? You take them because they're winners. Bo Nix, all right, but Penix beat Oregon twice, and if they didn't get cheated in the Michigan game, going to beat them. I wouldn't take the Michigan quarterback if you paid me $1 million. He sucks. But that's what you do. Penix, Hartman, and Bo Nix are proven winners. That's like Joe Burrow. He's a winner. If you listen to my draft video there, I say that the Lions should have traded Stafford to Cincinnati plus their first pick for Joe Burrow. That's what I would have done if I were the Lions. And then they go ahead and they trade Stafford to the Rams and get nothing for him. So at least you could have got Burrow for Stafford. And you did it anyway. You traded him anyway. Anyway, so time for dinner. But I don't even know what I'm doing. I might eat out. We'll see. But that's about it. So the draft, yeah. I mean, the problem is the teams don't know what they're doing. And you can see the coaches with the analytics don't know what they're doing. If you're following analytics, you don't know what you're doing at all. You got to be stupid to use them. They don't really say anything. They're just some statistical formula that doesn't take into account. It only takes into account if you make it. It doesn't take into account if you miss. So let's do analytics on the Lions. If you go for 4th down and you don't make it, what's the percentage of the time you lose the game? 98%. But that part of the analytic doesn't enter into it. It's either I make it or I miss it. So if I make it, what do I gain? But if I miss it, what do I lose? But where's that in the analytic? Why don't I hear, well, teams that don't get the 4th down lose 98% of the time because it's a fucking fumble. It's a turnover, but you only hear they should go for it. And then you got your Tony Romo idiots going, yeah, they should go for it. The math says they should go for it. Or Chris Collinsworth with the math on the 2-point conversion or whatever the fuck he's talking about. But they don't say if you miss. If you miss against the Niners and go for it in 2, you lose the game 99% of the time. Would you still do it? But where's that part of the equation? It's not there. So it's only go for it, not if you miss what happens. And that's my point. It's a turnover. If you miss, it's a fumble. So even the guy on the YouTube was saying, so they've had 3 turnovers in the game. Twice they didn't get 4th down. And then the fumble by the running back, the Alabama guy. He didn't run the right play. He ran the different thing, and it was his fault. He never got the handoff because he ran the wrong play. Anyway, so I will see you tomorrow, I guess, morning. I think my pool's closed for a swim meet. So many swim meets. So I got lucky. I got there before 2 today, so I could use my lap pool, but I think it's closed tomorrow and Sunday. So I'll ride the bike and I'll go in the hot tub, and that's it. Anyway, so let's figure out what to eat for dinner. I have chicken, but I got to cook it, and I don't feel like cooking. Unless I go to the grocery store, they've got chicken made, and get some of that. I got salad, so I have that. Anyway, have a good weekend. I will see you, I think about 11, 12. Saturdays and Sundays are like do the show, and then during the week I go swimming first. Let's see. Greg, they said they've been going for it with success all year. Well, but be it as it may, and I know what you're talking about, the Lions were 80% when they did go for it, they got it. It's against whom? Oh, Carolina and Atlanta and, New Orleans and, who did they get it against? They played Baltimore once and lost 38-3, so I don't think it worked there. Who else did they play? Seattle, they got beat. And then Green Bay and Chicago beat them pretty bad in the Dallas game. So who did they play that they did this against that was any good and it worked? What was the score when they did it? Were they up? Was it to tie the game? How do you not do that to tie the game up? That shows me the coach is in way over his head. And everybody, I love and they tried. I love the coach. Well, we got to agree he was aggressive, and that's what he did all year. That's what I hear. Like they're all kissing his ass, and I'm like, he's an idiot. He goes for it way too many times, and you always in a championship game, and you can tie the game up. You tie the game up. There was a championship game in 1974, 5, 6, the Vikings against the Rams. And the Rams had Chuck Knox as their coach and they had a pretty good team. It was 4th and 1 at the Minnesota 1. And the coach actually didn't go for it. So it's a reverse. He actually kicked the field goal and it got blocked and returned for a touchdown. The game was over. I thought I was going to say he went for it and didn't make it, but no, he actually went for the field goal and it got blocked and returned for a touchdown. The game was over. So that just shows you in the playoffs, you can't fuck around there. I don't know. I thought there was a game where they went and didn't make it and lost, but no. So, I mean, that's the problem. If the coach is too stupid to understand when you get a chance to tie the game up, because even if he makes it, it doesn't mean anything. You still, okay, now you got the ball 5 yards closer, let's say. Then what? You got to hope you don't get a penalty. You got to hope you don't turn the ball over. And then you're going to probably kick a field goal anyway because you're playing the fucking Niners. And then so you're going to hope that you get a second chance to kick the field goal. That's it. Otherwise, you're fucked. So that's the problem with it. It's you got a chance to kick the field goal because you're fucked basically. But well, it might be in the playoffs, Greg, but it's much more meaningful because you lose and you go home. So for the Lions to not kick the field goal, and then if Frisco scored late, they could have came down and it would have been tied and they'd go to overtime instead. They didn't get it, went down 10, scored late, and then that was it, the onside kick. And they fucked that up. The guy hit it too early. What kind of onside kick is that? I mean, everything they do is full of crap. Did you hear the Eagles got new offensive defense? Well, I don't. I doubt they'll be any good. This is what I see: is that the coordinator's going from one team to another. I mean, I don't know. So the Philly offensive coordinator went to Indy to put in the Philly offense. Richardson gets hurt, and then the other and Minshew, and they play okay. But is this guy a head coach? Indy won't do anything with this coach. So he puts in a different offense. So I don't know. It's all the same offense and defense anyway, because they keep shuffling around these guys. He was in this. I love the Miami coach. Well, he was the towel boy for Frisco, and he was the assistant to the trainer or whatever. And now he's the head coach in Miami. Yeah, look how they're doing. And anytime he gets in against the big game, he loses. So him and Tagliavua are the two losers. But people love him because, I don't know, because they don't understand what you look for. You look for the guy who's the winner. You look for Joe Montana and Brady and Rodgers. That's what you look for. I didn't like Peyton Manning. He was a choke. He lost all 4 years to Florida at Tennessee. He comes into the pros. He loses to Brady all the time. Lost to Pittsburgh in the playoffs. Lost to Baltimore in the playoffs. What are we looking for that he's any good? He's good regular season guy. He won 2 Super Bowls. One was against the Bears, and one on Denver, he couldn't throw past 5 yards. And they won on their defense. But, you know, Brady is the winner. He could beat Manning. Manning couldn't beat Brady. I mean, maybe once in a blue moon. So that's what I look for, that's why I'm different. That's why I win. I look for the winners. I look for that part of the game, and most people look at the wrong. Oh, Lamar's great. Yeah, okay. How much money did you lose on Baltimore losing to Kansas City because you didn't take Mahomes over Lamar? I mean, that's ridiculous. That's what I'm doing now. I'm taking Mahomes over Purdy. It's a no-brainer. And I get 8 points? Absolutely no-brainer. Bobby, where are you in Tampa downtown partying? Bobby's not on. I don't know. It's a little early for partying, but I didn't see him today, so we'll see. Anyway, I'll be on, I guess, about 11:30 tomorrow. Chinese, I think, sounds good tomorrow. So anyway, have a good day. www.teaserking.com. And hopefully we'll have good news Monday about the job. We'll see. Apparently they like me the best out of the first 3 or 4, and there's one guy left. So I'm hoping for that. Well, you're welcome, Greg or John. Yeah, when you watch me and you watch these other idiots, then you really appreciate me because I give it to you straight. Half of them you can't follow, and half of them are idiots that don't even understand what they're talking about, like your Rick Rudes and your Reichardts and your Peter Schiffs. I was listening to Andy Scheckman today. I was like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? So these guys want to come across like they know what they're doing. They're just salesmen. Keep that in mind. Like Andy Scheckman is a salesman. So is Peter Schiff. They sound like salesmen. They don't know what they're talking about. Lynette Zhang, she doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. So understand who to listen to. And when you listen to me and you listen to them, you should get a better understanding of what the fuck's really going on. And that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to separate the real from the phony, but it sounds good, so you listen. Then you go attack on Wall Street because you just lost 60 grand. And I won't let that happen. Okay, everybody, have a good night. I'll talk to you tomorrow morning. Well, 11-ish, 11:30.